Travelers on the Omnibus occasionally touches on mature subject matter with mature language. As such, the audience discretion is advised. Hey, yo, everybody! It's Travelers on the Omnibus, a field trip through nerd and pop culture. My name is James McCarthy.
My name's Ethan Skinner.
Jody Kite.
My name is Brady Davis.
I've used up all of my energy, and so I'm
That's
going
it.
I'm going to lounge out for the rest of the episode.
I thought you were going to go like, hey, you guys.
No, no. That's Sloth.
Yeah,
Yes.
from
Yeah.
the Goonies.
I always get Sloth and Chunk mixed up in my brain.
Some say they're one and the
Baby
same.
Roo. I keep trying to get my daughter to watch that movie, and she for some reason, like, she'll watch all these other movies, and I'm like, hey, I think you would like the Goonies. Like, I'm trying to make her sit down and watch the Goonies.
It's
Maybe
a cool movie.
Maybe
great
she's
movie.
anti-Corey Feldman, and I'm okay with it.
Maybe, yeah, he is a piece of shit
It's
nowadays.
Stranger Things with no upside down.
Yeah, I've told her that, and she's just like,
It's Stranger Things, but realistically.
like she's watched The Sandlot and all the Mighty Ducks movies and all that. And
I've never seen the Mighty Ducks.
Oh, the Mighty Ducks.
I have seen The Sandlot.
The first two, I think, are solid. The third one is weird because it doesn't have Emilio Estevez in it.
The third one, they had to. He's in there for like a coffee cup at the beginning and the
first, end. She watched the first season of the TV show with me, and it's actually pretty good. But I've heard Emilio Estevez doesn't come back for the second season, so I don't know how good it is going to be, and I didn't watch the second season because she hasn't. But it's,
and if it's a Disney Plus thing, they probably canceled it.
Yeah,
already.
but the first season of that show is pretty good. But it's got a lot of callbacks to the old, because a lot of the old people come back.
Got you.
And it ought to, I mean, that's if you're going to make a Mighty Ducks,
Yeah, it's all
anything,
hockey.
you got to have the nostalgia in there.
Because the first one is like a Bad News Bears almost, with hockey, and then the second one is like, okay, they go to this like world championship thing, like teen world championship thing, and they're having to fight the evil foreigners.
That's like Bad News Bear 2.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
I forgot that Bad
They go
News
to
Bears
Japan
2.
in the second one.
I think that's basically what they do. And then they're like in college, like a high school or something in the third one. So they have this other guy who's coaching them who they don't like. That's pretty much the whole thing. I've told you it, but like it's they're solid movies. At least the first two.
Eeny, meeny, miny. Brady, what have you been up to this week?
All right. So one thing I did was I watched the first episode of the Twisted Metal show. I've already talked about this with some people, but on Peacock, I have Peacock until I really need to figure out when that renews, because I probably don't need Peacock anymore.
Well, they've also gone up $1 a month, so. Or they're about to go up.
I'm waiting.
Well, I only paid like $21 for a year.
Nice.
I
did that with Stars. I had Stars
that's
for a while
pretty good.
because of that.
I'm holding on to mine solely for the WWE content. And that's
I haven't watched WWE or cared to watch WWE in a very long time. I kind of follow it because there's still some people that I like. But so yeah, Twisted Metal. I think it's going to be a good show. The first episode was pretty good. The only problem is it's not really Twisted Metal. Because there's no card tournament, there's no demolition tournament, there's no Calypso getting the wishes. It's post-apocalyptic, and like all the cities were walled off, all the big cities are walled off, and then in between is just no man's land. And then Anthony Mackie is a courier who takes things in between the seas, but he never gets to go in. And then he gets hired by the head of New San Francisco to go all the way to New Chicago to get a package and come back, but he can't look at it. So it's not Twisted Metal at all. But it's going to do a lot of like key jingling, because like in the first episode, Stephanie Beatrice's character, Beatrice, her character, who I think who's basically going to be like the number 2 person. They're driving the pink hearse Shadow. Okay. So it's like, so you go, oh cool, that's Shadow. They're getting chased by a dude in a cop car. Oh, that's Outlaw. Okay, yeah.
In that Thomas Hayden Church?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Who he's pretty, like it's good. Like he's like the head of a roving gang basically. And then at the very end you see Sweet Tooth. So I think it's going to be a whole lot of I get that, but it's not really going to be the show. So if you're wanting like a Twisted Metal actual thing, I think you're going to be like sorely disappointed. I really like the Twisted Metal series. I haven't played it in a very long time because it hasn't existed in a very long time, but it was one of those like nostalgic video games for me. Like I said, I think it's going to be a good show, but it's not going to be Twisted Metal. Just don't go into expecting that. Just roll with the punches and
Well, that could be a good thing.
let them
because
jangle the keys in front of you.
How much do you have in basically an extreme bumper car match?
It would have been harder to do.
Right.
I think that they probably should have done something like a Death Race 2000.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, okay.
Instead
Just
of
from your
that,
description.
Well, especially with
instead
the
of
world,
like Demolition Derby, it's a race, but then you can
Do
kill
a
the
little
people.
combat on the way. That would make
I
things
think that would have
interesting.
probably been better, but I don't know. We'll see how this all goes. But it's solid so far. I'm going to keep watching it. They're only 30-minute episodes. I think there's only like 8 to 10 episodes, so it's not going to be hard to watch.
Are all the episodes out already? Was
Yes.
It? Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so it's already out. So I just haven't had a chance to watch all more than the first episode. Yeah, so I saw that.
quick. So between this and Ms. Davis, have you been happy with the Peacock stuff that you've seen on it? Because those are both Peacock exclusives.
So I've watched that. I've watched Mrs. Davis. I've also watched what's the
The Cody Rhodes documentary?
no, fuck all that.
Well, hold off on that before.
I don't care about it. No, the what's Poker Face.
Okay, yeah.
Which was solid. I don't think like the they're good. The shows have been good. The problem is like I've basically watched the shows because I have Peacock and it's on there. If I didn't have Peacock, I wouldn't be like, oh my God, I'm missing out on this. Why did I miss this? Like, but everything has been solid so far.
Okay.
So I'll give it that. But like, I rarely go on to Peacock. I don't think it's worth the money. But they do have some good shows that the shows that I've watched have been solid.
Okay.
They have a horrible interface.
Yeah.
Name one that doesn't though.
Netflix.
Nah.
Oh, I hate Netflix's.
Do you really?
I actually like Amazon's better now because I was after they updated it, I was able to turn off the auto like play of like trailers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I hate that. It's one
And
thing I hate on
Netflix I hate does
on
that.
Netflix, yeah.
Peacock does that and I hate it.
Right.
Like I fucking hate those. Hulu's actually I think is pretty solid.
Tubi, for real, Tubi's interface is actually not that bad.
The only problem with Hulu's is if you save stuff like in your My Stuff, if it goes away from Hulu, it's still in there. So you will think, oh, I can watch this
Amazon
movie.
does that
And then
too.
you go, oh, I can't watch this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found that out a while back. I've been scared to look at some of my stuff lately because I have a lot of things saved in there.
Gross. Yeah.
That's just funny.
Yeah. But so that was one thing that I did. The other thing that I did was I watched so one of my favorite horror movies in probably the last 10 years has been Shin Godzilla. It's a Godzilla movie that is directed by Hideki Anno, who is the creator of Neon Genesis Evangelion. He's done a couple of other anime too. Gunbuster, I think was his first one. Really like the dude. Super depressed guy. Surprised he hasn't killed himself yet because of how depressed he's been. He always is. But I think he's doing better. So he did Shin Godzilla. It's my favorite Godzilla movie. Like if you haven't seen it, it's fucking great. It goes back to Godzilla as a force of nature. Mm-hmm. So after that, I can't remember the guy's name, and who, if you're listening, guy who directed Shin Ultraman, forgive me, I don't remember your name. So they did a Shin Ultraman, which was another big thing, big Japanese property. Mm-hmm. So Amazon recently got the third movie in this. It's not really a trilogy. It's just these movies that they're making that just have Shin on. They're like these older, like really popular properties. Shin Common Rider recently came out on Netflix. If you see it on Amazon Prime, it's going to be called Shin Mask Rider because that's what it's called in America. Did you find who it was?
Shinji Higuchi.
Shinji Higuchi. He's done a lot of stuff. I can't remember what all he's done. I'm certain Ethan will click on his name and tell us in just a second.
Yeah, it's like you're reading my mind or something.
Yeah. So so for all of us who grew up with Power Rangers, Power Rangers came from this series in Japan called the Super Sentai series. And that's one of the two things that is like really popular in Japan. The other thing is Kamen Rider, who came. They had one season called Mask Rider in America.
I remember,
and it tanked.
It had a game on Sega CD.
Yeah. It's almost, I would argue, it could be possibly argued that Mask Rider is more popular than the Sentai series is in Japan.
I can see
Kamen
that.
Rider is a big thing. So they made a movie about Kamen Rider in this. It's pretty good. It basically plays like a series of episodes. Is very episodic because it's just this guy becomes Mask Rider, and they have to fight the organization that's called Shocker, who have all these augmented guys who have been spliced with like animal DNA. And he just has to go through fighting each one of them. And basically, every one that he fights is almost a different episode for like the first hour, and then like the main arc of the story, where fighting this other guy, is the arc. It's pretty good. You have to go into it knowing it's very episodic, like it's gonna jump. But it's pretty good. It's super bloody. Like the first thing, like it starts with like a motorcycle chase, and then the guy turns into Kamen Rider or Mask Rider. I'm going to use them interchangeably, but and just starts punching holes in people, and it's Kill Bill levels of blood.
Oh man, I gotta watch that.
Like he
Sounds
punches
fantastic.
people, and then blood just splatters every fucking where.
Shinji Higuchi, he did the Attack on Titan live action movies.
Oh, okay.
Part 1, it never got a part 2.
From what it did get a part 2.
Did it?
Yeah. Both
It
in
may,
the
it
same
may have
year.
never gotten. It may have
Right.
never came to America.
Yeah, the
He
part 1 was over here.
He also did the 3 Gamera movies. And
Oh, the Heisei Gameras?
Yes.
Oh, I need to watch those. Those are on something. I saw. I think they're on Hulu. Gamera was a big thing in my childhood where I watched those really shitty movies, but I've heard the Heisei era is so much better.
The Floating Castle, Hidden Fortress, The Last Princess, and the end of Evangelion.
What year did the Hidden Fortress come out?
2008.
Okay, that's
might
a
have been a
different hidden,
remake.
That's a different hidden.
That might have been a remake.
That's more than likely a remake.
He's a well-known in Japan guy. He doesn't have a lot of crossover appeal, I don't think.
There's also a movie from 2010, Death Kappa.
Oh
Kappa.
yeah, I've heard of that.
Nice.
Is that just a murder turtle?
I imagine.
Possibly.
I got a quick side note.
Pretty sure that says it all.
because you said Kappa. Awesome. There's that's awesome.
See,
Yeah, it's some. If you're listening to this,
pause.
Yeah.
Go look up Death Kappa, Kappa.
yeah.
Also,
Laugh and then return.
Yes.
Takashi Miike made a movie like around 2010 called The Great Yokai War.
Oh.
And it's also like on that level, but like ridiculously.
You know, I found
awesome.
out The Happiness of the Katakuris is a remake of a Korean,
A Korean movie. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Right.
But anyway, Shin Mask Rider, it's pretty good. It's you're gonna watch it and you're gonna feel a lot of like Power Ranger stuff. So if you're feeling nostalgic for that, like it's going to do that. But there is like some interesting stuff where it's mostly just like they have this guy, they need to fight him, and then they fight him and kill him, and then they go to this next person.
Sure.
And it can be a little confusing, especially towards the end when like the overarching bad guy finally shows up. But yeah, because he's kind of wrestling with this because he was turned into to Mask Rider against his will. And he sees himself as kind of a peaceful person, but every time he transforms into Mask Rider, like his aggression gets upped, and he has urges to kill people. Basically,
He turns into the Guyver.
Like
Yeah.
the reluctant hero kind of.
yeah, he is a
trope too,
reluctant
okay.
hero. But it's an interesting movie. It's to me, it's not as good as it's not as good by a long shot from Shin Godzilla, but I do hold Shin Godzilla like very, very high. This one's enjoyable. It has some stuff going on with it. So if you watch it on Amazon Prime, before it starts playing, go in and turn on the subtitles because it doesn't automatically turn on the subtitles.
Nice.
I don't know why it doesn't do that. But like somebody said something, and I was like, wait, what? There's no subtitles. And then I had to go in there. Oh, the subtitles are off. Why are the subtitles off? This is a movie that's in Japanese. I cannot speak Japanese. I am in America, and you should know that. Amazon Prime. But yeah, Shin Mask Rider, pretty good. I need to find Shin Ultraman, and watch that one too.
It was on Netflix at one point, but I don't know about
damn, I missed it. I rarely look on. I need to get rid of.
They turn a shit character into an awesome character, Jet Jaguar, which was a garbage character.
Wait, so in the same movie you have Ultraman and Jet Jaguar?
Yes.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah,
that's cool.
The Shin movies have been pretty solid. So for me, they're 2 out of 3. One is clearly better than the other one, but they're good movies, and it's especially if you have that nostalgia. I remember watching the Mask Rider show.
I do too.
For the season because I was obsessed. If it was tangentially connected to Power Rangers, I was going to watch the shit out of it. So, but yeah, that's what I've been doing. Yeah,
good stuff. Teal shirt, aka Ethan, go for it.
Yes, I am Teal shirt.
Yeah.
I've been working a lot recently.
Yeah, you have.
Not gonna get into specifics, but I got a promotion.
There you go.
And so I've been working a lot.
And he earned it too. I don't want to hear no crosstalk.
And I actually worked. I worked.
I love how you're looking direct. So for people who aren't in the build, which actually we have a studio audience tonight. It's very nice. For the people who can't look in, Jody just looked directly at Brady, waiting for him to say something. He did. He said, "No, congratulations." And I think Jody is humorously disappointed. So that's where I'll go with that.
Let's also be honest that as soon as Ethan started talking, I started looking on my phone, so I didn't give him my 100% respect.
You also did the. Oh, we forgot his name. Shit.
I was just thinking, it would have been funnier to just say teal shirt, and then the audience would have had to be like, okay, well, he obviously put 2 and 2 together. Ethan's wearing a teal shirt, so because he's the one who talked.
Yes.
Yeah, I actually worked with Jay for like 8 hours straight for the very first time.
Yeah, by our powers combined, we were Captain Planet.
And he didn't murder you. It's awesome.
No, I'm surprised he didn't murder me.
Which one of you
That's
were
what
heart?
I said.
Yeah, he literally said he's surprised I didn't murder you. Serious work is serious business. This is playtime. We get to fucking insult each other. That's when it happens.
100%.
Yeah, I've just a lot of work this past week, and so nothing really too fancy with me.
You guys don't have time for shenanigans.
No.
I do have a question. Where's my chicken and rice? So Sunday you brought some delicious chicken and rice and said, it's delicious. And then you had certain roommates that were leaving the next day and they didn't like the chicken and rice. And it's like, there should be some chicken and rice. And Monday I was like, where's my chicken and rice? And I didn't bring it up because it was crazy. We had a crazy day at work. So I'm not going to add on guilt about chicken and rice, but it's now Thursday. Where's the chicken and rice?
Yeah, I kind of forgot about the chicken and rice.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah, so,
It's been a very long time since I've eaten chicken and rice.
Yeah, it was made by Bianca. Yes. Very good. The stuff that holds the chicken and rice together. I don't know. It's not a casserole, but whatever held together, it was perfect. She did a wonderful job. Thank you, Bianca.
I don't even know what she did to it. It's pretty good. Yeah,
put it on a firing line and shot it, and it's like 22 is the ultimate tenderizer for chicken.
Yeah, chicken rice is
there you go.
Gone.
She glared the chicken and rice into submission.
Oh man, that'd be good. It'd be like, and then just there.
Yeah. I could see Bianca doing that.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah,
but no, he survived it to me, and he did a very good job. He did an exemplary job, actually, if I could say so myself.
Well, why thank you.
No problem. Chicken and rice.
Chicken and rice.
Anything else, brother, or was it just work?
That just quite literally work.
God bless you, man.
Now that you've gotten a promotion, I can't wait for you to start aging very quickly, because that's usually what happens when you get into to some kind of upper position.
We'll see.
Speaking of upper position, Jody, what have you been up to?
Say what?
Hang on a second.
Did you have something else?
Ethan, wipe off that board because we're going to have to do some math.
I'm going to have an aneurysm.
To figure out what the fuck what that means.
We don't have enough red yarn to
I thought it was just work. Did you have something else?
No. That's literally it.
Okay, so upper position Jody, how have you been doing?
Okay.
What do you mean by upper position?
Pause.
Pause for effect.
Wait, hold on, let me do a wind blowing effect.
And
I'm certain that was lovely to. That's going to be lovely to hear.
The wind in the willows, right there.
They can give us feedback. There you go.
If you enjoy the Power Rangers and the Super Sentai show from the early 70s, you should check out Kakator. Kakator was also one of those types of shows where our hero comes in on a motorcycle with an acoustic guitar.
Oh shit!
And then
heard of Kakator,
he jumps off of the motorcycle with the guitar, strums it, and then transforms into a half robot.
Oh, okay. Well,
and the shit's pretty awesome.
Is that
Kakator?
I think it's
Kikaider.
Okay. I heard Degator.
No.
And I was like, what does this have to do with Florida?
I heard Tuggator.
Oh, you both heard wrong.
There you go.
I said
Ethan, you got a
Kakator.
picture? Let me see it so I can see if.
Yeah. Show it to him. And it's not. Don't show him the end. Yeah, there it is. That's live action.
Passengers.
I think that's.
Pause and look up Kikator.
I think that's what. Did they get VR Troopers from that?
They might have. It's very
Android Kikator.
Android Kikator. They turned it to an anime later. Don't watch that, but watch the live action TV show. It's fucking great. In its cheesy wonderment.
So we're talking. In case you don't know, you probably know, but like back in the 90s, Ham Saban got all of this B-roll footage from all these Super Sentai shows
from the 70s
and mashed them all together and then basically hired a bunch of teenagers for slave wages to do all the non-in-suit things.
If you watch the first 3 seasons of the Power Rangers, like any of the fights that you're watching happened 20 years prior. You can tell from the grainy film quality of the fight scenes.
You can also tell by the fact that Rita Repulsa is obviously her mouth is not matching what she says.
Right.
I don't like how this dude, how half of his head is like 3 feet above the rest of his head.
That's how it works, man.
Yeah, don't question it.
Don't question it, man. That's the robot half.
It's just it's
maybe
robot
they
half.
didn't get that. They got. I feel like
it looks very
the Android half you're talking
very
about.
something
VR
came from
troopers.
that. But
because we got that. And
maybe like
VR
later
troopers,
VR Troopers
and big bad
Beetleborgs.
Yeah.
But I don't think they got any of that from Japan.
VR Troopers was its own
VR
thing.
Troopers they got from, and then there was Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad.
I remember that.
They got that from Japan, but I don't think that was Saban.
No,
now that
was
we're
somebody
talking
else.
about it, I remember there being an episode of the original Power Rangers where there was the Common Rider.
Yeah,
in it.
Mass Rider. Yeah, they did a
I
crossover
do
with him.
remember this.
They did a crossover with him because the show was coming out.
Except that he was some alien.
Yeah, he's like an alien who comes down and lives with this family.
I remember specifically they handed him like a high C juice box. Instead of drinking it like a human being, he turned it to the side and just bit into it.
Yeah,
That is not how you do high Cs.
So everything they did from that, he just took these cheaply acquired shows and just like cut them all to pieces.
Speaking of that, one more little thing that's not live action. It's a cartoon, but it's also an anime. It was a cartoon because they aired on Saturday mornings over here as a cartoon, but it was an anime. It's called Samurai Pizza Cats.
Oh yeah, I remember Samurai Pizza Cats.
The show that we got was not the actual show.
It never is.
They didn't translate anything. They just put whatever dialogue they wanted over it, and that's what makes it great. Don't watch the original show; it's bad.
I feel like these are just
Definitely though, watch the old laser tag show where they take laser tag equipment like the laser tag gun and they shoot an ice bridge. Not an ice laser.
Right.
They just shoot out an ice bridge for them to walk on.
Yeah.
That whole thing from laser tag the show.
If I knew that there was an ice tag laser bridge or laser ice bridge tag, or no, laser tag ice. Yeah, okay. If I knew that existed, I would have begged my mother to buy that so I could make ice bridges everywhere, but it didn't.
They also did Mystic Knights of Tirnanol.
Oh yeah.
Yep, that's a good one.
Laser tag guns would do anything that was convenently needed at the time. Yeah. So what I've been doing.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we did another tangent.
We did.
We probably should have saved all of this and could have done a show on this shit.
Well,
or at least a road pit stop.
So I've been playing a little Minecraft. Nothing really noteworthy to talk about actually with that. But another thing I did this week was I was lucky enough to turn in AEW Trash Forever.
We're We're not talking about the product as a whole, just the video game.
The video game, which is absolute garbage. Hot fire.
A dumpster fire?
That's what I meant.
If it had been a $20 budget title, would you be feeling the same way?
No, I think at a budget title, it's passable.
Okay.
But I still, even then I say, if you're not going to really do anything with the creative wrestler part of it, just don't have it in there. Just leave it out.
Okay.
That'd be a better option. So I turned that back in for Octopath Traveler 2.
Okay.
Which I can't talk about that game because it's still sealed in plastic. But I can talk about Stubbs the Zombie.
Oh, yeah.
Because that came out on the original Xbox back in the early 2000s. And actually it might have been like closer to mid because I think it was near the end of the life cycle of the Xbox. They used the Halo engine.
Yeah.
But the game is nothing like Halo. Basically, you're a I can't remember how you get turned into a zombie, but you're trying to get back to your girlfriend, and you use different parts of your zombie body to do different abilities. Like you can throw your hand, and when you throw your hand, it goes to like a first person perspective of the hand. And you crawl up. You have to make sure that they don't see it happening, like all the NPCs or whatever. And you can crawl onto like a military police guy, and the hand like goes over his head, and then you control him for like 30 seconds.
That's pretty cool.
Is this Stubbs the Zombie and Rebel Without a Pulse?
Yes, that's exactly what. There was only one game.
Yeah,
and that was it. And it's a shame it never got a sequel.
It's on the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, It that's what I got it on. Yep. And it was super fun. It's one of those games where you can beat it like probably like 8 hours or less or whatever if you do everything. And it's just quirky.
Yeah, I think it got middling reviews when it came out, but it was nobody said it was like it was like kind of a sleeper thing where like nobody really like everybody was like it's a pretty solid game, but then like it just didn't. This was back like. Right. When like if it wasn't like fucking Halo or some shit like that,
it was. I put it in the vein of Destroy All Humans. It's in that goofy, quirky.
Yeah,
like,
I think it came out towards the end of like the first Xbox.
It did.
So like that was definitely not good for it either.
Right. It was like those kind of games had already kind of run its course.
Yeah. Released in 2005.
Yeah, right. That is near. I think that's the same year the 360 came out.
The 360 I think was 2006.
Might have been. Look up what year the 360 came out. But yeah, so that game is super fun, and I can't wait to crack it open and play it again on the Switch. And I still have to beat Octopath 1 before I can actually play Octopath 2. And there's still other strategy RPGs I need to get, like Triangle Strategy, which is by the same people who made Octopath.
Yeah.
And I still need to get Live Alive.
Yeah.
The game came out in October of 2005. The 360 came out in
November in 2005. Yeah, I bought one in 2006. I remember that.
Gotcha. So it came out like a month before the 360 came out.
Yes.
That's insane.
And then the first Red Ring happened in December of 2005.
Yeah, you ain't wrong. You ain't wrong.
Apparently, it was taken off of the Xbox Live shop in 2012 due to technical issues.
Okay.
I think I remember hearing about that.
Weird.
Could be
but
wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I really like. I've had a really slow week. Of course, we'll be talking about part of what I did later.
Oh, very nice. There we go.
What about you, Jay?
What has Jay done?
Fuck, I can't remember.
Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, that did happen. 400 Korok seeds.
There you go.
At which point I was like, wait a minute, you're telling me I have 600 more of these to go, which means I have to collect the same number I already have plus half that amount.
Yep.
I'm finishing this game. So I went to the bottom of the world and I fought Ganon, and it is maybe the best boss fight I've ever played ever. I don't mean in a Zelda game. I mean full stop, the best boss fight in the history of video gaming. That is high praise, and it is.
That's a good episode.
And I'm still in the afterglow of it.
Boss battles.
Boss battles.
This is
nice, Brady.
Get it in the document, teal shirt. Get it in the document right now.
Boss battles. I love it.
Like
Top 5 boss battles, like a chalkboard.
We could do a chalkboard. Or it could just be us talking about.
We'll be talking for 7 hours.
We are trying to figure out a chalkboard, so that could be the next chalkboard.
That could be the next chalkboard. Actually,
video game boss battles.
But I'm in the afterglow of it right now, so there's some. I can't disregard that there's hyperbole there, but
Right.
I thought it was very well done. It wasn't difficult. It's if you know what you're doing, you know what you need to do.
Right.
I just leave it like there.
Right.
There's no questioning as far as that goes. And I got I finally got a Switch Pro controller, and I got Mario Kart 8, and it's going to be something I'm going to be playing around that because I am kind of burning out on the same game.
Yeah.
And that's just going to, but not just the same game, the same activity in the same game of hunting down little forest creatures.
Right.
So yeah, I need to do a little bit something different than that. And then also, welcome to Whiskey and Wrestling West Coast. I've been on Peacock as well, and I watched American Nightmare, the Cody Rhodes story. I thought it was a very well put together documentary. Say what we will, WWE does some very good documentary work. The propagandishness for the WWE there is there, and it's not just subtextual in my opinion, but I think overall it is a fine documentary. The fact that AEW got brought up, and that because that's a major part of his history. If they had ignored that, like there would be red flags and people going, "Hey man, what the fuck?" So I do believe they addressed it as well as a WWE centric product would address something like that. So I was happy about that. But overall, fantastic, absolutely fantastic documentary. If you have Peacock, go out and watch it. If you don't have Peacock, it's not something to go out and hunt down or rather to subscribe to it just to watch that unless you've got a free trial.
Question that popped up.
Okay.
Do you think there needed to be a Cody Rhodes documentary right now?
No. That we have it, I'm okay with it, and they did a very good job.
There was. I'll say this real quick. Oh, go ahead.
So one of our studio audience is Mr. Jason Holder of the actual Whiskey and Wrestling. Somebody get this man a microphone. Oh, hang on. We literally can't hear you. All right, here we go.
So with the documentary, does that mean that the story is finished?
Yeah.
No, okay, so spoilers. No, that's a tagline that's woven in throughout all of that.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, for those of you who aren't in here right now, which is the rest of the human race, Jason Holder's eyes rolled so far into his head, he may have broken a
I can't wait
cornea.
for Cody Rhodes to lose to
I want to say two things real quick. One is at one point they had a documentary machine going, like in the late to middle like aughts and 2010s and stuff like that. Like Randy Orton had more than one. Undertaker has like 5 DVD documentaries.
Oh yeah.
Mick Foley's got like a billion of them, but a couple other guys that were still wrestling were getting documentaries and things like that. And number 2, do you think Cody Rhodes' legacy is to lose every match that he's in because his father played the underdog and that's the gimmick they're going for?
I don't know.
Well, it's the SummerSlam coming up is the
He's got to win a match for me to be wrong.
Like he has beaten Brock Lesnar and Lesnar's beaten him, so this is the rubber match.
The rubber match.
I'm curious as to where they're going with this because the rumor still is that WrestleMania 40 is the rematch between him and Reigns, which I think I can speak for nearly every person in this room that's a wrestling fan. The fact that title didn't move off of him, I think damaged Reigns more than it damaged Cody.
Probably.
In my opinion, because now it's gotten to the point of, all right, we get it. Like, can we fucking end this?
Yeah. You can't have, like, in today's times, because everybody always brings up, like, Bruno Sammartino. You can't have someone have a title for 8 years.
Yeah, Bruno Sammartino also wasn't having a show every single
there wasn't TV. He wasn't on TV every week.
Well, like
it was every
times
fucking
a week.
Well, the wrestling shows were happening weekly, but and they were going around a region. But
but nobody.
It's not the United States on cable, and it's not the world on satellite, and now on streaming.
Yeah,
and your champion's not on every episode.
When he came to that one spot, like once every couple of months,
right?
And then for all you knew, that's all that existed.
Back in the day, WWE TV, even when they had main event, they would have like jobbers fighting the name guys, and then the main event would be like one mid card guy, maybe a top guy or something. Like you didn't see the top guys every fucking week all the time.
Well, that and also
TV.
like in the height of the '80s, they had the A shows, B shows, C shows, and you had A's that had the world champion on it. The B show had the Intercontinental champion doing that, and the C show was probably just a bunch of just good wrestlers that just wrestled well.
They had two shows in the 80s. They had Main Event, and that was only during the off season of Saturday Night Live. And then the other show they had was Superstars, or Saturday Morning, whatever the Saturday morning Superstars. That was it in the 80s.
And most of those were just recorded in Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Most of them were taped. All of them were taped, actually.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they didn't have live.
You didn't get shit on television.
I think there wasn't really a live wrestling show. Like
It was WCW.
it was Nitro. right?
Nitro
going live.
debuted as a
Yeah.
live show.
Yeah.
That was their whole gimmick.
Yeah.
Well, not their whole gimmick.
Even
but
Raw was like,
it was
I
taped.
think Raw would have sporadically live shows just
Yeah.
because of the way the calendar fell on. But yeah, like it being totally live, which also is kind of the advent of, okay, now we can't just have jobbers for 2 hours.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
would have jobbers for 2.5 hours when they went to 3.
Yeah.
No, I think you had when it was 2 hours and you had arguably the best cruiserweight division in the history
You did.
of wrestling.
Yeah.
It wasn't just jobbers.
No,
Like,
it
you had-
wasn't just jobbers,
Yeah.
but
Oh, no,
you
no,
still
it
had,
wasn't even.
yeah.
I wouldn't even say it was a majority of jobbers. I think that very competitive cruiserweight division where they allowed them to shine in that bubble.
Well, yeah, if you're talking about like 98, 99, for sure, but before then you still had like Barry Horowitz, Mikey Whipwreck. When they got him, he lost every match for his whole year running WCW.
He did that in his run in ECW.
He was Triple Crown champion in ECW.
Yeah, but his entire first year there was all losses.
Well, yeah, he was an underdog.
They got out of their seats cheering him when he landed his first offensive maneuver.
Right. Yep.
Which I think was like a shoulder block, and everybody went insane.
You know what was sad, but also like a celebratory at the time, at least for the people in the back, was when Hugh Morris and WCW won a fucking mid-card title, and like everybody like came out, they were clapping, like even the top guys. I'm like, how sad is this? That you're celebrating this guy winning like the United States Championship or whatever it was.
There you go.
But anyway.
All right, I think we've exhausted all of our week's goings on. So
I
that's
think
pretty cool.
so.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being passengers on the omnibus, whether it's today, tonight, tomorrow, or forever. That kind of works, I guess. But yes, if you've enjoyed yourself on here and you would like to
Travelers
spread
on
the
the
word,
omnibus. Then, now, forever. We have
Yesterday.
trademarked this. Nobody else can use it.
I have to have back surgery.
that's
There's
a good
warrant.
one, pal.
I have to have a back surgery. There's a warrant out for my arrest.
Whoops.
I'm tired.
Consequently, I will be taking a leave of absence because of my back, and definitely only because of my back.
I'm tired and I'm old and I'm hurt and I work with fucking children. And it's like, where's my muffins?
Oh man.
If you've enjoyed this, please tell your friends they can catch us on Spotify. I almost said Anchor again.
Yeah,
God
you
damn
did.
it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Spotify, Amazon, Google, and Apple. Also, if you want to get in touch with us, because we have no feedback this week, so I'm kind of antsy about that. What was that?
That was me stretching.
I thought you had literally had a stroke. You were like leaning back and your eyes glassed over, and I was like, oh shit!
I was thinking it was like a possession of something.
Don't say that word.
Possession. Oh no!
His arms are flailing.
The audience can't see that.
Yes. If you'd like feedback on just what the fuck we're doing when you can't see it, but we reference
Ladies
it
and
anyway.
gentlemen, watch Possession so that you know all our inside references.
1981.
All of them,
Sam
every,
Neill.
Yeah.
every single inside
Yeah.
reference is from the
We
movie
don't need
Possession.
to fight.
Sit the kids down.
Yeah.
It's a good family film.
Oh,
Bring your 2-year-old. It's just like Oppenheimer.
He might ask why the mom is putting laundry in the freezer, but you know.
Yeah.
She want them panties cold.
Yeah. Oh. If you'd like to take part in any of our
A kid's
polls,
never too young to learn about a miscarriage.
message us directly.
This is what you could have been, Johnny.
You can.
We
do
tried.
that. You can do that through Spotify.
Censored.
If you'd like to message us directly,
Censored.
because there was a
Censored. Censored. Censored.
do so through Spotify.
Censored. Censored.
Are we in?
Censored.
Professional podcaster in this room.
You two should do a podcast together about music.
Shut
To the
fuck
people
up.
that can hear Jason Holder, congratulations, you have super hearing.
There
Yeah.
you go. Also, if you'd like
Yeah, we're
feedback,
really quiet.
Yeah.
Censored.
if you would like feedback or like to give feedback on this or any other thing that
Yeah,
we do
give
on the show,
feedback because well, I don't know. Jay might do it. I'm not gonna answer you.
This is very true.
I have to now agree with one Jason Holder. Jody is the most professional person at this table
I
right
didn't
now.
even argue with that.
There you go.
I'm
I know.
also not checking the
Have you
emails for
listened to our
feedback.
episodes?
Yes, all of them.
Exactly.
I have to edit this shit, God damn it. Do
Exactly.
you? I'm sending a stern email to travelersontheomnibus@gmail.com. Again, that's travelers, 1L, on the omnibus @gmail.com if you want to leave passenger feedback. Before we go even further off the rails, let's take a breather. You won't know about it, passengers, because we're going to take a little breather right now, but we will be back with our main topic. Tonight, on Unsolved Mysteries, we find out who killed Rose Red. It's because we're talking about fairy tables. Good
Yeah.
God.
Fairy
tables, yeah.
Fairy tales and stuff. We're talking about Fables, a very prominent piece of what was very much so the best comic imprint in the world, in my opinion. That's a bold statement, but I think we can kind of maybe relate that as we're talking about it tonight. But we were talking specifically about Fables and the Vertigo imprint in kind of a general sense. But Fables started around 2002. Writer Bill Willingham. Main pencilers are going to be Mark Buckingham and Steve Leialoha. Inkers, Mark Buckingham and Steve Leialoha also will take over those jobs as well. A letterer, Todd Klein, and editor Shelley Bond.
Yeah. I will say, since you brought that up, the first issue, the people who did most of the drawing for the rest of it aren't on this one.
Okay.
So that's why if you will notice, like from the first to even. Yeah, the second one, there is a difference there's a little bit of a difference.
That kind of falls in line with other Vertigo work.
Yeah. Lucifer did the same thing.
Lucifer, Transmetropolitan, it would like the writer and line artist was always Warren Ellis and Derek Robertson, but they picked up Rodney Ramos, who was the main inker, I think around like volume 2, and he pretty much stayed the inker throughout. But you will notice a distinct like difference in coloring and colors once you get out of those first volumes there. So it's kind of a Vertigo sale. But like, I want to talk about Vertigo there at the end of this. But Brady, you're the one that brought this up, and thank God you did, because this was a fun little romp. And go ahead and start presenting it to the folk.
Yeah, Fables is a series, like we said, by Bill Willingham. We're gonna do the first volume, which is called Legends in Exile. So we're gonna spoil the ever living shit out of this, but there's still like so much story to read.
I think there's like somewhere between like 16 to 17 volumes. Of
Yeah,
this outside of this first volume.
Yeah, upwards of 20, I think, because I have all the volumes. But the last volume is just the last issue with some extra stuff in there.
Is it like
last issue? I'll talk about how like it's already ended, but he did like pick it up very, very recently. So you if you look it up, like on the Wikipedia, it says it's still going, and that's because it ended, and then he decided to come back to it and do some more. I haven't read any of the new stuff though.
Right, like much real quick. I just wanted to say, like, for anybody who doesn't like read a lot of graphic novels tend to, if they're done right, take somewhere between 8 to 10 comics. And hopefully that like does a complete arc.
Yeah, these are very, very good at it's a complete arc. Now there are some volumes where it's just a collection of stories, kind of, but they are very good with this, where everyone is pretty much
every
a
graphic
complete
novel
arc.
is a
Yeah. So the world of Fables is such that all the fairy tales, all the nursery rhymes, all of these fantasy stories that you've heard. They come from a world, and really and truly they each have kind of their own worlds.
Right.
Like the kind of Snow White, Cinderella, all of those those types of fantasies. They have their own world, and then like the Rudyard Kipling Jungle Book, all of that's the Arabian Nights. They're their own world.
They're like little pocket dimensions, kind of.
Yeah. So they're all living their little fairy tale lives, and then out of nowhere comes a being that we only know as the adversary. And the adversary starts like, and they even talk about it towards the middle of the book, where, or towards kind of the endish middle, where, he took over this world. He's never going to get here. And then he eventually like gets to everybody's home world and starts taking over all of these places, these fantasy places, and enslaving or have this authoritarian regime in all of these places, and it causes a lot of people to become refugees. And the refugees then come to the pretty much the only world that the adversary doesn't really care about,
The mundane
world, our world. They come into our world, and there's no magic in this world, so the adversary doesn't really care about this.
We are what's known as Mundies.
Mundies, yeah, they will call regular people Mundies. Now most of them settle in Fabletown, which is on Bullfinch Street in New York City. So most of the Fables are live there. Some of the more human Fables can kind of go out.
Inhuman. I heard it just a little bit.
Well, the human Fables get to live on like Bullfinch Street,
Okay,
and if they want to go out into the world, they can. The only rule is that you cannot reveal your nature, your fable nature to the world. That is the greatest sin. But then, like the inhuman things, like all of the Chicken Little and the Three Pigs and all of these things, you have to go live upstate at the farm, which is like a big area that they have set up in upstate New York, where and you have to basically stay there forever. And there's a big thing. Now, if you pay enough money to the witches that are there, you can get a glamour, which allows you to look like a human and be out in the world. But it's very, very expensive.
And most of our Fables are poor.
Yeah, most of the Fables didn't get out with their riches, so they are poor as shit. So everybody's living hand to mouth.
So you'll see people like Beauty and the Beast working minimum wage jobs.
Yeah. The Fabletown government, as it was, lives by the donations that they get. Like but they are kind of like the law. So that's kind of like the background of this. So all of these Fables are living here. They're kind of just subsiding. They've got businesses and stuff like that, and some of them are taking like Ethan said, minimum wage jobs. So we open up with the character Jack,
From Jack and the Beanstalk.
Now, something that they do very interesting with Fables is that Jack is Jack and the Beanstalk, but he's also Jack Be Nimble. He's all the Jacks.
Right.
He's speeding towards the Fabletown offices, which are in this apartment complex. I cannot remember off the top of my head the name.
It's also like a business office.
Yeah, there's the Woodlands. The Woodlands apartment complex. This is like the center of Fabletown, where most of the Fables who can afford it, live. The higher up Fables.
It's also like the office for like
this is where the office,
like the
governmental office. The mayor lives here. The sheriff also lives here, and the sheriff is
also
one
the cells.
Big B Wolf, as in the big bad wolf. So something else that they did that is very interesting is they signed the Fabletown Compact. Everybody when they came here, and they said, okay, every bad thing that you did is forgiven and forgotten.
I think it's like pre-amnesty.
Yeah, they call it amnesty.
Yeah.
So the big bad wolf was horrible before all of this. He's the big bad wolf in Red Riding Hood. He's the big bad wolf in the Three Little Pigs. He's also where werewolves come from. You find that out in a side book. But everybody signs the compact, and all is forgiven. Every bad thing that they did before coming to Fabletown. Now, after, if you fuck up, you might get something.
Another unwritten rule or written rule is that you're not supposed to mention anybody's past before the amnesty.
Oh yeah. It's uncouth to mention somebody's past.
It's like that person's past cannot be used against them, like court of law or anything like that.
Yeah, so any horrible things that Big B did can't be used against him, even though people do bring it up. That's a redemption of the monster is a big thing with Big B, because he throughout the comic he is one of the main characters. So Jack runs into Big B's office and says, "Oh my God, you got to come to Red Rose's apartment.
A horrible crime has been
committed." And then we cut to the Big Bad Wolf is the sheriff. Snow White is the deputy mayor. She is basically runs. You find out that she basically runs Fabletown, and the mayor, who is Old King Cole, is like a smiley glad hands. He's just there to press the flesh.
Figurehead.
Yeah,
she does all the
figurehead.
work. He does all the handshake.
She does all the work. And she's Beast and Beauty have come to her, and they're dealing with this because Beast has started to become beastly again because all their curses are still here.
Right.
There's a side thing called Fairest where like Rapunzel, her hair still grows. Like she has to get a haircut like every 30 minutes.
There's a later in the book, Pinocchio.
Let's wait for that because
you find out in a later volume that Briar Rose, like if she pricks her finger, it causes the spell. Like all of their curses are still here.
Right.
So because they're not doing well in marriage wise, because they don't have a whole lot of money, Beauty is mad at Beast. And so Beast has started to become more beastly again. So he's got like horns and fangs and everything like this. And he can barely talk.
His teeth are too big for his mouth, so he can't pronounce everything.
Yes, to the point where I will say this. I like the notion of that, but reading it, you have to then acclimate to that, which frankly, the Beauty Beast and Snow White scene isn't so long that you have to stay on that.
And it doesn't stay. It's not a long thing.
Also, I used Snow's dialogue to kind of translate what the hell he was saying.
It's a whole lot easier because there's a character in the Sandman called Mazikeen who has half a face, and you can't. I to this day can't read anything. This is a whole lot easier.
And
but it is a
arsehole in Preacher also.
So I'm used to these characters, and this is not as bad. And Snow White's very strict. She's very shrewd. She's very cold.
Strong hand.
Yeah, she's very cold. She's kind of like a cold bitch. That's basically her thing. And
there's reasons for that we're gonna get to.
Oh yeah, there you find out some like everybody's fairy tale was fucking horrible. Like nobody actually had a good time. The more like horrible thing, like they even say later, you don't fucking mention the dwarves.
Yeah, you don't mention the dwarves in front of a Snow White.
Yeah,
right.
Because it's rough. This is a very mature comic. I will tell you this. We also meet Boy Blue, who is her assistant. He becomes a much bigger character later. We also kind of see in the background Buffkin. Buffkin is a flying monkey from the Wizard of Oz. He is basically like the clerk of the office. The office is also in like a pocket dimension to where it's bigger than the
bigger
actual
on the
room.
inside.
It's like a TARDIS situation.
And this is where like all the shit that all the magical items that they were able to smuggle from the homelands are here, and also some like magical characters. There's a character called the Forsworn Knight that I think it's in the next
Animal
one.
Farm.
He's Animal Farm. Yeah.
Beauty and the Beast are there because of marital counseling, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's basically like giving them shit like, hey, you have to get right, or you can't live in. You have to go to the farm if you can. Like
figure your shit out. Basically, is what she says.
Yeah.
There's also the Flycatcher, the janitor. That's also there.
Yeah. Flycatcher. He becomes a very interesting character later as well. Flycatcher is there because Bigby keeps catching him eat flies. So this is the Frog Prince. So he keeps tacking on time for his sentence to where he has to basically work as a janitor in the woodlands. And in fact, I'm sorry. Now that I'm looking at it, like Beauty does like this snide thing talking about the dwarves, because they're arguing, and then Blue like hurries her out, and he's like, hey, you have no idea how close you were to getting fucked up.
Right.
because you did that.
I'm doing you a favor.
Well, you're breaking the whole like code of the amnesty where you don't talk about shit that happened prior to them coming over to the mundane world.
Yeah. Also, like it is a very sore subject. So then Bigby comes up and was like, "Hey, I got to talk to Snow White." Now we cut to Prince Charming.
What a dick!
Prince Charming is a humongous dick. Now,
this takes place in the Mundy world.
Yes,
in the mundane.
Yeah. Prince Charming is a piece of shit. Prince Charming was Snow White's wife, husband. He was Cinderella's husband, and he was Briar Rose's Sleeping Beauty's husband. He was all three of their husbands, and they all three hate him with a fucking passion.
He's a mimbo.
Yeah. He is a con artist. He is trash. Nobody likes Prince Charming.
Right.
He becomes an interesting character. We catch him basically seducing this waitress.
Yeah.
Because he was like, "Hey, I was just gonna stiff you with the check, but you're kind of hot. How about you just take me home?" And he talks her into going home.
Well, like
And
she
also-
at first she's like, "Hey, like take me home," and he's like, "Well, actually, I'm really poor. How about you take me to your place?"
Yeah.
It's pretty much what it ends up
Yeah.
being.
It's also like, hey, I'm inclined to give you my number. It's like, oh, that's interesting. I was good. Dash on the bill. Would you mind covering it for me?
Right.
yeah, she's like, "Oh, okay."
Well, I was gonna have to
I
cover
was
it
gonna
anyway.
have to
Yeah.
pay for it anyway.
So I'll pay for it, and then we'll go have sex fuck.
Dude,
Yeah.
I love the I know I might be skipping that little arc, but I love it when he's like, you know, like she's in bed, she's all passed out from all the love making, and he leaves this like 3 or 4 paragraph note of, "Hey dear, if you don't mind, can you do my dry cleaning? Follow the instructions. If you don't mind, do." And it's like
Yeah.
He
this
also
long,
fetched my dry cleaning
Yeah.
downstairs.
all this list of everything.
yeah.
Yes. I went through your purse and I took some money out there.
yeah.
Hope you don't mind that.
Yeah.
I'm also gonna be staying with you for a
Yeah,
few
Yeah,
days.
I will stay with you for a
I'll
couple
be
days.
back. Trust me.
If
I
it
don't.
doesn't put you out.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a really
He's
big
a
piece of
dick.
shit. He's a really big piece of shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, Prince Charming, his whole thing is like whatever he sets his mind to, he succeeds at. Like,
Right.
everybody kind of has a thing.
But he lives in the moment, though.
Yeah, but he
That's
lives
his
in the
thing.
moment, and he doesn't care about future consequences.
No
and that's why he
consequences.
cheated on literally every woman that he's married,
'Cause
and
he
they
could do
all
it.
hate
Yeah.
his
'Cause he
fucking
could do
guts.
it.
You mentioned the redemption of the hero. I would also, as a counterpoint to it, throughout all of Fables, is also the disillusion of the hero.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
All the
Yeah.
people from these fables and fairy tales that you thought, oh, these were the great people. No, they were pieces of shit. It's the monsters that were actually pretty cool,
Right.
Because the monsters usually end up doing like the great things, and sometimes even like they surprise you and go, oh, I hate this motherfucker, and then later on you're like, oh, he really did a good thing. So yeah. Then we cut back to Bigby. He is informing Snow White that her sister Rose Red is missing, and he's about to go to the crime scene.
And then Snow invites herself to the crime scene.
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh yeah,
It's more so that she injects.
I'm coming.
herself.
Well, yeah.
And at first, because so here's the thing: Rose Red and Snow White absolutely hate each other. One of the reasons being that the person that Prince Charming cheated on her with was Rose Red,
And she got caught.
and yeah, she got caught. It's really really bad. One of the big ongoing things throughout this entire series is the relationship between Rose Red and Snow White and how they change.
Right. And they're sisters, right?
Yeah, they're sisters. So yeah, he's telling her like, "Hey, she's missing. I gotta go check out the crime scene." Jack's already there waiting. Jack is a piece of shit. He is a gigantic con
Yeah,
man
he was,
who is also constantly failing at every scheme that he does.
Right.
Get rich quick schemes.
Yeah, in fact, so much that Bigby automatically like suspects. Oh, he's the guy who did it.
Right. Right.
Like he's constantly under suspicion from Bigby. So yeah, then they go.
And that's the majority of your first issue in the first arc of this.
Yes.
He does a lot of work. I'll give this for Willingham. He does a lot of work in about 20 pages that I've seen some like whole trade novels. He doesn't get to that much detail.
Yeah,
like, in the
everything
whole
was
novel.
like super fast when I was reading it.
And it's
snapping.
understandable,
Very
and
snappy.
it's very you can understand where the things are going on. I think because it's a very human story. I'll bring this up here with Animal Farm as well. He's also taking modern story structure and applying it to these fantastical creatures
and somewhat familiar characters that have a different twist to them.
Yeah, like the first volume is very much a police procedural, almost a
Yeah.
a Sherlock Holmes detective
But
story.
there's some noir stuff in there.
Yeah.
There's a little noir.
I think primarily though it's a very Sherlock Holmes, like it's a take on a Holmesian. Take
Oh
as
yeah,
far as
yeah.
that
Like
goes.
he
Like, he's trying to
even
piece together.
Oh yeah.
Some
What
crime.
what happened?
yeah. So yeah. and also, like we've been talking about the Big Bad Wolf. If you haven't looked at it, like the Big Bad Wolf is in human form in this, and he's constantly smoking because his senses are so sharp. Like he would be overwhelmed.
He's got to dull his senses.
It dulls his senses. So he's like constantly like chain smoking.
Yeah.
The majority of all these characters are in their human form.
Yeah,
They have the-
everybody that we've met so far has been just a human character or in human form. We cut to Prince Charming banging the chick. He talks about cocksmanship.
when to parry and when to
Yeah, when to parry and when to thrust.
Yeah.
He means sex, Ethan.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's
Okay,
what.
he means
Really?
sex. Yeah.
So we then Snow White and Bigby they go to the apartment. There's a really cool shot in here where like they're walking up the stairs and Bigby has turned back and looking down at Snow White, and from the light is casting a shadow, and the shadow looks like a wolf.
It's like on the wall.
Yeah. So there's a possibility that like you haven't gotten one, like if you haven't put two and two together, like this really like seals it. Oh, okay, I know who this is. And then they go to Rose Red's apartment, and they open it up, and there is like the place is absolutely
So much
tossed,
blood.
Littered with blood.
and there is blood everywhere.
Yeah, this is not a crime scene. This is a crime scene from Seven.
Yeah. This looks like a massacre.
It looks like spontaneous combustion minus the fire.
Yeah. It looks like
Someone exploded.
somebody exploded and their blood got
but
everywhere.
it's just blood, though.
Yeah, it's
There's
just blood.
only blood.
Like there's furniture tossed all over
Yeah,
the place.
like
everything's like ripped apart.
Yeah, the mirror's
Most everything
broken.
is ripped apart.
Yeah. And then on the wall in blood is written "No more happily ever after." So then we get Bigby like looking through the scene, like he steps through and says, "Hey Jack, hey Snow, you staying back here? I need to check everything out." So he's going and walking through and he's checking everything. And they do a really good job of like laying all. If you go back and look at this, like you can like all the things that he talks about when he solved it comes with this. And he's telling, and like he's looking, he sees that like the stereo system, there's nothing on there. He looks at the CDs. He goes into the
Kitchen.
kitchen, and he sees that there was a lock, a padlock, and
Screw holes on the freezer.
on the freezer. And then he comes back out of the apartment and then puts Jack into a hold and says, "Hey, you're under arrest."
Right.
And Jack's like, "What the fuck, man?"
I told you I didn't do it.
Yeah. Everything that ever happens, like, it's a running thing to where Bigby's like, "I can't prove it because he's not even around, but I feel like Jack had something to do with this." Like, there's things where Jack hasn't been around for like volumes, and he's like, "This might be Jack's fault."
Something's weird is happening around town. I bet it's Jack.
Weird and
Yeah.
criminal.
Yeah,
Weird and criminal.
right.
Jack also later gets his own side series called Jack of Fables. I didn't read it because I don't particularly like Jack as a character, and I
Right.
do not think that I could read that much of Jack. Also, he's center in one of the worst volumes where it crosses over between those two.
Gotcha.
That one you can skip. The Great Fables crossover, you can skip that one because they literally come back and they can't remember anything that just happened in that. So
So it was just to like shoot off the other book.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't even a shoot off. It was just a combined, like all the things that have been happening in Jack come together in this.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we come back and it's the next day, and we're in Bigby's apartment, and he's waking up a pig because one of the three little pigs has snuck off from the farm,
and he's hungover.
and he's hungover, and he's hiding in Bigby's apartment, which is
he doesn't want to be sent back up there again.
yeah. Most of the people who live on the farm absolutely despise living on the farm because it's basically a prison.
And this pig isn't humanoid at all. It's a pig.
No, this is a pig.
It's
It
a
is speaking.
It's a talking pig.
It is smoking.
Yeah.
his
When it lit the cigarette, I'm like, I've never seen this before.
It was so fucking, and the pig is like, hey, the pig's name is Colin. Colin's like, hey, hide me out for a little while. You owe me. And he was like, no, you got to turn yourself in so you can be taken back up to the farm.
That's pre-amnesty.
Yeah, yeah, you can't do that.
Come on, Bigby.
My favorite thing is like, would you like some breakfast before you head out?
I mean, ham and eggs.
You really are a dick.
You fucker.
Nigga, you are the monster.
You
that I
are the
thought-
monster. Yeah.
And then we cut to here's the scene where Prince Charming has left a very long note, gaslighting this poor young lady.
Right.
It's like half a page.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a pretty
ridiculous.
long.
It's almost the full page of
yeah,
the
yeah.
goddamn whole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then Snow and Bigby are in the rooftop garden at the not the roof. It's a garden somewhere in Fabletown.
There's a large fountain.
Yeah.
I just read that as Central Park, just in my brain, like on the edge of Central
It kind
Park.
of felt like that.
Yeah,
but
I don't think it's Central Park supposed to be, but it's basically like they're just sitting in a park. There's like a rooftop thing, but I don't think it's a garden. So they're kind of discussing things, and he's like, "Hey, yeah, I got a lot of it figured out, but I'm trying to figure out some things.
Like I'm trying to find the final pieces.
Yeah,
trying to put things together.
I'm putting together suspects. Jack is obviously on that. You're on that." And she's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" It's like, "Yeah, of course I'm going to suspect you. You hate each other. Like, why wouldn't I suspect that?"
She's like, okay, well, we'll do that later. I'm busy right now.
Yeah, he was like, "Hey, we can interview you right now." She's like, "Nah, I can't do it right now."
She has to go meet with Prince Charming.
Yeah, she meets with Prince Charming.
Yeah.
Bigby also ends it with like, hide your wallet first.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, hide your
Yeah,
wallet.
because he's gonna like he's coming for money. That's what everybody knows. Then we cut to Cinderella and Bluebeard are fencing. He's teaching her fencing, and they're talking about things. She mentioned basically the only thing that's really of any importance here is like she mentions that Rose Red's probably dead. That's the rumor going around.
Yeah, he's like, what?
And he gets fucking pissed.
To the point where he like cuts her accidentally because he was raging
Oh yeah,
with the fencing sword.
yeah. This is Bluebeard. You find out Bluebeard is one of the only guys who was able to actually escape with a fortune.
Because he helped other people escape.
Yeah, he was basically
But he
the
charged them.
Yeah, he was basically the Underground Railroad kind
Yeah.
of.
Which also sets up a bunch of things in his backstory. How did he know to get out so soon?
Right.
Yeah. Then we cut to Snow and Prince Charming at the diner, the I Am the Eggman diner, where they're talking, and he's basically telling her like, "Hey, yeah, I was in Europe and I pissed off all those people that I was hanging out with."
Well, that's literally
Every
European royalty.
Yeah.
Every royal.
Every royal.
Yeah. He's like he's like Stern from Heavy Metal. He's like, "Hey Snow, I've got an angle."
Yeah.
You didn't expect that callback, did you,
No,
Brady?
no.
There you go.
I'm just now noticing.
We should have an
something
auction for my things that we can't access because of the adversary, right?
I'm just now seeing something in like the background of everything. You can see Colin like
Oh
hogtied
yeah.
and
Throughout this volume, you will see Colin in the background sneaking around and trying to do shit and getting caught and running around because he's being chased.
This one is literally he's hogtied. He sees Snow White in the diner as he's being hauled off to the farm.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's he gets caught. He's almost and then he escapes. And then he gets caught and then he escapes. Like it's constant throughout this whole entire thing. But he says, "Yeah. So what I want to do is I want to auction. I want to sell my lands and title." And Snow is like, "That's stupid because
You can't even have it.
you don't have it." And he's like, "Well, yeah, but like the adversary's not going to be there forever. Like
If we ever got to go back
if we
home.
ever get to go back home, like that gives somebody something." And she's kind of like, "Hey, yeah, I don't want to do this because fuck you, because
You're an asshole.
You're an asshole, and you slept with my sister."
Right.
And then he goes, "The mink seduced me." Fucking
Of
asshole.
course.
And he even says like, "Hey, maybe we need to add you to the list of suspects because you just like she disappeared and you've just shown up, so that's a real weird
What a
coincidence."
coinkadink.
Yeah.
Right.
To be fair, Snow White doesn't use the word coinkadink. I want
No,
to
she is
stress
not
that.
she is not a type of person who would use that.
Oh yeah, no,
that
she
word.
doesn't say it.
Yeah, I want to stress people that it's like we were gonna get an angry letter from a mad Snow White fan, be like,
Yeah.
she would never say coinkadink.
Does he mention the yearly ceremony and like when they're auctioning it, like during that
Yeah, so
He
restaurant
said he wanted them
conversation?
he wanted to do it around because they have what's called Remembrance Day, and this is a day where they all get together and they talk about and they remember their time in the homeland
Where
and
they
what they've
were-
lost.
They remember their
And-
past life.
And specifically, remember their past life, but also the compact signifying that we're not going to be at each other's throats.
Yeah.
That's the positive message that they want to
Right.
bring about.
And also to get donations for
Yeah, this is everybody
Fabletown.
gets a little nostalgic, so this is where we get most of our donations for the budget for Fabletown for the rest
the
of the
entire
year.
community.
Yeah. Then we cut to Bigby and Snow interrogating Jack in his cell. He tells him Bigby knows that they broke up, and Rose was with Bluebeard at last year's Remembrance Day, and that he was obviously very jealous about that. And
they specifically have a fight about it that they recall. Yeah.
yeah,
in the streets.
yeah.
And it was a public fight.
It was a very public fight.
He's basically just constantly accusing Jack and trying to get him madder and madder, and just throwing out wild accusations. And you think that Bigby's not very good at this, and he kind of isn't, because even though he's been sheriff since Fabletown was started, which it was started in the colonial days. It has since there's been a New York almost. There's been a Fabletown. And they use like magic and stuff to keep people away from the area.
And they talk about how they've been there for centuries.
Yeah, fables are they're not immortal, but they are very, very long lasting. And it all depends on how popular the fable is. A lesser known fable will be less immortal than a very popular fable.
I forgot, and I think to mention that when Prince Charming hooked up with the waitress, she asked him his name, and he said it was Prince Charming.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Bigby's
You're not supposed to do that. But anyway,
Yeah.
moving on.
Bigby's been the sheriff.
It comes off as such a fucking bullshit fucking
Right.
pickup line.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
true. That's true.
Yeah. So yeah, he's just wildly accusing Jack.
Mm-hmm.
Snow White's like, damn, you suck at this. Like, what the fuck?
You know who also wildly accused somebody one time? Sherlock Holmes. He didn't do it to accuse them. He wanted the reaction.
Yeah, that's a lot of what he does in
Right.
this. They go get some sweets to calm Snow White
She
down.
needs chocolate.
Yeah.
She offers some to Bigsby. And he's like, I don't eat sweets.
And
Yeah.
then we see Colin running away.
Yeah,
again.
there's Collins in the background running away. He has escaped again. Then we go to they go to interrogate Bluebeard. They meet with him. They meet his ogre looking butler guy.
What a smarmy motherfucker.
Yeah. Bluebeard is he lives up he is an aristocrat.
He smuggled his castle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He paid the absorbent amount of money to have his castle
To the
get
witches,
get connected. And what they
Yeah.
basically do is they connect it to a an alternate. It's an alternate dimension basically once you walk through the door.
Right.
There's actually a time where the things get disconnected and they lose the office for a while.
Oh, okay. That'd be interesting.
It's actually really interesting. They do.
It's
He does so good with characters that you think are pieces or shitty or not good or not good at what they do.
It's like you open your front door and it's just a regular living room and not your grand castle.
I think if I remember correctly, things get undone and that magic gets undone and it just opens to a brick wall. And, and everybody
shit.
who's in the creatures, it's not even really people. The creatures who are still there are stuck there. Including Buffkin. So yeah, they meet with they meet with Bluebeard. Bluebeard is a smarmy piece of shit. And again, Bigby goes to hey, you did it, you murdered her. Tell me why the fuck you murdered her. And the guy's like, oh, what the fuck? He's throwing the crime scene photos on his desk. And he's like, what? How dare you
do this?
How dare you?
Does it come out during this conversation? I think it does, where he's like, why would I murder her? We were going to get married. I paid her to marry me.
Yeah, this is where
What the fuck?
Yeah, this is where he says no, because Bigby was like, yeah, she was with you and then she broke up with you and went back to Jack. That would piss me off too.
And he's like, she didn't leave me.
No, she
I have a contract.
we got engaged. I paid her a handsome sum for a dowry,
Handsome dowry.
and she said, "Hey, we just have to keep this
Between
us for 1 year. On the next Remembrance Day,
We'll get married.
We'll tell everybody, and we can get married.
Right.
We just have to keep it secret."
Yeah.
So he's like, "Yeah, I didn't do. Of course, I didn't do this." And that's basically where that chapter ends. Then we go to the next chapter where Big B has Flycatcher and Blue in an apartment that is directly under Rose's apartment, and
It's identical.
It's identical, and they have set it up identically. And Big B has this big chest, and he opens it up, and there's just a shitload of blood in there, blood bags.
Yeah.
And he says, "Hey, go back. Here's the pictures. Go back up there if you need it. Don't touch anything though, and perfectly recreate how everything is.
So I can find out how much blood.
So I can find out how much blood was used."
And he knows that 100% of the blood in Rose's apartment was Rose's.
Yes, because his sense of
His
smell
senses.
is so good.
Yeah.
Big
Like,
B
to
is
the-
a very, very powerful character.
To the point where he says, like, if you want the DNA test, you can, but I'm telling you right now, it's all hers.
yeah,
Yeah.
she's like Snow's like, "Are you sure it's Rose's blood?" And he's like, "You can do a DNA test, but I can tell you right now."
yeah. He's like, "This is her.
Right.
This is her blood." We find out later, like Big B is the son of the mother of wolves and the North Wind. That's how he gets the ability to do what he calls his huff and puff. So yeah, then they go after he does that. Then they go up and meet with the mayor because
Well, just Snow goes to meet the mayor.
Snow goes to meet the mayor because the mayor is very concerned because Bluebeard is one of our major donors and he's come in complaining.
And Remembrance Day is coming up really soon, like
Yeah.
3 days, 4 days, something like
these
that.
are the things that King Cole actually cares about.
Right. Wrap up this investigation.
Yeah, please. And they do a really funny thing because they keep cutting, like in the background you see like his pipes and his fiddle and his fiddles 3. You don't see the fiddlers. So you see all this stuff like he's in like the townhouse up top. And she's basically like updating him, telling him like, "Hey, we think it might be Jack, but we also think it might be Bluebeard because he would like his whole thing was he would if you for people who aren't, he does a lot of the bigger fables and the bigger fairy tales, but there's also some lesser known because not a lot of people know about Bluebeard.
I didn't know about Bluebeard.
Bluebeard's whole thing was he would marry women and then on the night of the marriage he would kill them. And then he would get another one, and then he would just keep doing that. He was a pirate
For money.
yeah, for money.
When they were in Bluebeard's office, you could see like a pirate hook and a painting of his ship.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah, that's he literally when he would get them out, he would get them out on a ship. One of the like volume 3 or 4 they actually show that. They go to the Black Witch of the Forest. This is the witch from the Gingerbread Men. This is also the Gingerbread House. This is also the witch from Rapunzel. Like they're all connected.
Yeah, I think even Bigsby like mentions like her being a suspect. It's like, have you eaten any gingerbread or something like that?
Yeah.
Doesn't he say something like that to that regard?
Yeah,
I believe so.
He said have you grown tired of the taste of gingerbread.
Right.
He said they talked to, he's just basically like telling us like, hey, even the adversary, we can't put this past them because like we just don't fucking know.
yeah, like Bigby's talked with Snow and Prince Charming.
Yeah. He's just telling them all the people. And then King Cole is just like, hey, just get this shit wrapped up because we don't need this shit going to Remembrance Day. Then we cut to Bluebeard, who is getting all nicely dressed and has a really, really sharp knife.
He's sharpening it.
And he gets a platter from his manservant. Really cool, really funny scene where Big B is bringing Snow Rose's computer because the one thing that Big B cannot do is anything with technology. He can't even like through this whole series he can't even drive. Like he doesn't know how to do any of this stuff. He's allergic to technology. He drops that off. We see Buffkin. Buffkin's a drunk. Also, you might see that later.
Remember, Buffkin is one of the flying monkeys from Wizard of
Oz.
Oz.
Yeah, he's allowed to be here because he's the only one who knows the filing system of the office. and he never leaves the office.
Right.
Just saying, those are some murderous eyes in like the close up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
that is a
Buffkin
murderous
in the
look.
later one looks like a lot of the models, again, because it's a different artist in this volume versus even the next volume is when they get Buckingham. That's when they get kind of their normal look.
Yeah, because some of the especially Bluebeard, when like he gets the crazy eyes, when we're about to get to, look like some of the art from like the old Tales from the Crypt comics. From when they like somebody got the bug eyes, look just like that. Very terrifying.
Flycatcher and Blue have finished up, and they're about to calculate how much blood they used. Then we meet Grimble, who is the Watchman, who he's a troll, but he's always asleep. He's in human form, and Bigby's like, "Hey, I gotta go.
I need to feed Jack.
I need to feed Jack." And he's
Where's
like,
the keys?
"Well, why are you feeding him?" Bluebeard came and he said he was gonna feed him.
Fuck!
Wait, what?
And then Bigby goes, "Shit."
Fuck!
He's running down to the cell.
He's fucking bolting.
Yeah, and as every time we cut to we get Bigby, like he becomes more and more monstrous. Mm-hmm. And then we see Bluebeard has Jack in his cell with a knife to his throat, and then Bigby tells him to drop the knife and back away from the boy, or I'll rip your fucking throat out. And he's become basically a werewolf.
He's become a
He's
giant.
he's gone.
He's fucking
full wolf.
He's not full. This is not his full. He literally can become a giant
A
wolf.
full werewolf.
You haven't
he's
even experienced a fraction of my power.
Yeah. He's not even like as in his strongest form.
It
but
does look menacing.
He is
though.
a werewolf.
It
right
does
now.
look menacing though.
Wait till he gets to Super Saiyan 3. I mean, it's fucking crazy.
And Bluebeard's like, so the true monsters come out, like, because a lot of people in Fabletown like think it's just a matter of time before Bigby becomes like a monster again. And he keep like Bluebeard's like, yeah, I'm gonna cut his throat because he's the one who killed Rose Red. She's my fiance. I deserve his blood with this. He's been torturing Jack because you can see cuts all on Jack's face, trying to get information about what happened to her. And Bigby just basically keeps saying like, hey, yeah, you're gonna get him. I don't really give a shit about Jack. Like, you can kill Jack. I'm cool with that. I kind of need him, but I'm not gonna be sad that he dies. And then I'm going to murder the shit out of him.
Right, and then Bluebeard's kind of like acting like he's bluffing, I think, or maybe I'm misremembering.
Yeah,
that.
but Bluebeard keeps saying like, yeah,
sure,
you can kill me, but I'm gonna kill Jack before you can get to me.
Right. It's like, I don't care.
And he's like, I don't care.
Right.
Jack's like pleading with both of them, like, hey guys,
Yeah,
let's
Hey
just calm
guys,
down
can
for
we
a
stop?
second."
Can mommy and daddy
Jack's like,
stop fighting?
Please stop.
Let's take a step back, take deep breaths. Guys, are you listening to me?
Yeah. Then Snow White has gotten when she finds out what happens, we cut to her. She's got a big gigantic ass sword. She's got Grimble in troll form. She's got the doorman who's
With a baseball bat.
honest John. Even the fucking monkey has a mace.
Specifically, she has the Vorpal blade from Jabberwocky.
Yeah, we find out. Yeah,
Snicker
it's the
snack and all
Vorpal blade
that.
because as they're coming down, Bigby's coming back up with Jack. And he's like, yeah, Bluebeard's now going to be there, and then Jack's, I'm just taking him up here. And Jack's like, oh, I'm bleeding to death. And he's like, nah, you'll live.
You're fine.
You're fine.
Biggie's like, hey, why don't you put that sword away?
Yeah,
before you
Bigby's
cut-
like, you're not known for being like good with this. Like, maybe you need to put that down. And she's like, well,
she
I
literally brought a nuclear weapon to this fucking
yeah. She was like, well, I don't need to be good with this. I just need to be able to swing once and it's going to cut his head off. And she's carrying it over his shoulder. And he's like, well, maybe you don't need to be carrying the fucking Vorpal sword on your shoulder right next to your neck.
You can see like Grimble like grab Jack on his back and just carry him.
Yeah. So yeah, then we got another little scene of Colin the pig sleeping outside. Later on, Bigby gets a call, and he finds out like they tell him how much blood they used, and he's like, okay, well, you don't need to preserve anything, clean everything up perfectly.
both rooms.
Yeah, both rooms.
Yeah,
because we can't afford like. A big thing is that Fabletown is always on the verge of financial collapse.
Right.
He's like, we can't afford to rent that apartment for any longer.
Right.
They also don't want the Mondays to figure out.
Yeah, we don't
right.
because even though like people are kind of shooed away with magic, sometimes shit gets through.
Because Rose is known for having parties with Fables.
Oh yeah.
And
That's
also
another
the
thing we didn't
that's a big
mention.
thing.
That Rose parties with both Mondays and Fables as well. Jay, how many pints of blood were there?
6.
Yeah. Big
The human body, and even the Fable human body cannot bleed
That's
that much.
we
fucking
have like
shit.
because we have like what 8 pints in
Yeah.
us or
Yes.
something like that.
If you lose that much, you're dying. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
So
irreversible shock occurs when 40% or more of that volume is lost.
yeah.
yeah, that's
I
right.
can't tell if you read that from the novel or from Wikipedia just now. This is from the heart page.
So yeah,
on Wikipedia. Yeah,
yes.
the answer is
Bibi,
yes.
Bibi goes down to the office where Snow is working late night and gives her the news.
He's like, hey, sorry,
Like,
to,
ah, shit.
sorry to tell you.
This is also when Snow finds out that Jack attempted to use a startup website for like another.
That's what
get
she was
rich.
doing when Big.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
she
she's
was-
talking about that.
She was researching what Jack had been doing, and he.
Get rich quick.
This is in the
schemes.
early 2000s when the .com bubble was bursting.
Right.
So this is obviously like for people who weren't around or weren't familiar with that time. This is a very stupid time to do a .com startup.
And he's been working on it for nearly a year.
For
Yeah.
our younger audience, crypto.
Yeah, it's basically
pretty much.
It's basically what crypto is, only somehow not as scammy. It's really
Right.
weird, but still really scammy. So then we cut. That's the end of chapter 3. Chapter 4 is Remembrance Day. So this is people are coming up to the woodlands. Beast and Beauty ride up in a carriage.
Yeah, it's a big gala. It's like
it's a gala event.
It's dancing and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, all the
high society.
there's a clear like in Fabletown. There's a clear like line of like okay, the really popular Fables who were like kings and queens and royalty. They get better treatment. They don't get like phenomenal treatment, but they get treated a little bit better. Because other people are celebrating Remembrance Day just kind of, but they're not really invited to this.
Right. Beauty and the Beast are like one of the first couples I think you see, and they're like bickering already.
Yeah, basically everybody from the fucking Disney movies who are princesses get to come to this, and everybody else.
Basically, the ball is just like one big like Met Gala for anthro furries.
Basically,
like, this
yeah.
is basically what is going on there.
Yeah. Beast is looking a whole lot better because Beauty she gets really happy around this time, and his curse is lifted to her. It has to do with her, happiness.
Yeah.
But he still kind of mocks it.
He's trying to bring her down, and she's like, "Call."
Oh yeah,
stop.
they obviously are still not
Yeah.
on great terms.
She's like, "Would you stop?"
Yeah. And they're one of the better,
Yeah.
they're one of the better fucking
Couples, yeah.
couples.
Yeah.
But we find out that what they're doing with Prince Charming's titles and lands is they're doing a raffle for them. So you can get like tickets, and the tickets are pretty expensive to be honest. $100 a ticket, about $50 off if you buy 5.
Yeah, a little guy in the background. $50. He bought 5.
Yeah. And that's what Snow and Prince Charming are downstairs, and they're talking about that. And Snow is also talking about how much she fucking hates Prince Charming.
But it looks like she's having to like try really hard not to be charmed by him at one of those panels.
That's always on the.
She's almost so angry that she's having to do it.
Yeah. And she like gives him shit like, just enjoy your last little bit as an actual somebody, because after this you're not going to be in anybody.
Because he kind of comes on to her like
he is
one of those,
constantly
in that
like
one
every
of those panels.
If there is a female in the proximity of Prince Charming, he is fucking hitting on them.
And he brought the Monday with him though to the gala, didn't he?
No,
he
I don't
didn't.
think so.
Oh, okay. I
don't think so.
I must be misremembering.
There's like a blonde woman around here, but like I don't think that's her.
Okay.
Then we cut to all the stuff that I told you at the beginning. They're kind of going over
reading
this.
the sacred text.
Yeah, there's a sacred text that the Maple the Fabletown Compact is where they keep all of this, and they're reading that. King Cole is reading it, and they're talking about and
The
everybody
pre-mundane history of the town.
pre-mundane history. They're talking about, and then they give a toast to the homelands. It's a really good big spread where you see everybody giving the toast.
This is when we're introduced to who exactly the adversary is.
Yeah, this is where they tell us
Somewhat.
Before this, we've only just heard
You
about
have
it.
the notion.
Yeah,
of the
you have what
adversary.
everybody's idea of the adversary is.
Yeah, some call it a giant pixie. Some call it
nobody knows where the adversary came from, like a fallen god. Like
Right.
there's all kinds of they just know it's a really bad dude who took over everything.
Some say he was a mere woodland sprite, while others claim he was once a god.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Then they cut to different people in different areas. Some in their homes, some out in just random places. We cut to the farm. We see a little bit of the farm where like mice and ogres and all these things that can't be human.
A bear.
Yeah, there's a bear.
It's another to me a representation of, in just a few pages, you get the idea of what this world is without again. In other people's hands, this could have been one or two whole books. Like, I don't mean like volume books, but like one or two
Comics.
actual comic books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is done in done masterfully and done to where you can understand in 2 to 3 pages.
Yeah. And then we see we finally get to meet Pinocchio, who becomes a pretty big character.
That was some funny shit. Like
Pinocchio,
He's not having a fun time.
no,
he's perpetually pissed.
Mad.
He hasn't been having a good time for hundreds of years.
300 years. He
Hundreds
says.
of years.
because the blue fairy
He wants to kick the blue fairy's ass.
made him a real boy
Permanently.
but she made him a boy permanently. She took him very literally, and he's pissed at that because his balls won't drop and he can't
wants
get
to,
laid.
he wants to fuck and he can't.
He said the dizzy bitch interpreted my wish too literally.
Yeah.
So he keeps coming to this hoping that one day she's going to show up, because while every once in a while people will still escape from the adversary, but most of the people who are living there in the homelands are still living under there.
Right.
We cut to before this Bigby had met with Snow and told her, like, yeah, after the Remembrance Day celebration, I'm gonna explain everything, and I need you, and part of my plan is that you need to be my date for this.
We have to dance.
We have to dance.
Yeah.
So
Clumsily.
then we cut to Bigby is in his office, and he's
He's letting Jack and Bluebeard go.
yeah, he's letting them go. Say, hey, you see, he's got like a tie half on, and he's like, yeah,
He's allowing them to go to the Remembrance
Remembrance Day.
celebration.
because Snow said something to him, and kind of like everything started. There was we skipped a scene where everything kind of clicked. Well, that's coming up.
yet.
I
That's
apologize.
coming
Yeah. We cut to in the kitchens. Colin has snuck in and is trying to sneak away some carrots, and somebody catches him and asks him, "Are you on the menu?" And he says,
Oh, God, I hope not.
"Oh gosh, I hope not." Bigby shows up at the ball, and then starts dancing with Snow, but he is terrible at dancing.
2 left feet.
Yeah, 2 left feet.
She's like, stop stamping on my feet.
Yeah, she's like, you have to look up from your feet and look at me. It's like, well, how can I not step on your feet if I'm not looking at
Yeah,
your
that
feet?
was a good interaction there.
He's really bad. Fly tells him he's got some cool. Mr. Wolf's got some cool moves. Fly's kind of a dweeb.
They've become the center of attention.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're the
oh,
absolute
yeah.
center of attention. Charming is there giving her shit,
Right.
and she fucking hates it.
Bigby wants to eat and drink now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then she tells him, like, oh, well, most of the food's already gone by now, but I know that the people in the kitchen,
They lock away
they lock away the good stuff.
And he goes, aha.
And he's like, oh, I got it. So tell everybody.
That was the last thing I need. The crime solved.
Yeah.
What?
yeah, meet me on.
A
Tell
light
everybody
bulb
to
has
meet me on the
gone off.
roof, and I'll give everybody the thing. So,
And then that's a point where the comic book goes, do you know what happened?
yeah,
This is your point in the story where you figure out what happened, or do you not know?
yeah.
I didn't know.
I did.
I had no idea.
Yeah, we cut to the rooftop where
Bigby's
is
swimming in the king's pool.
Yeah, in King Cole's pool. Jack shows up, and is like, hey, just follow the plan, do what I tell you to do.
Yeah, because he told Jack to go run an errand for him at some point.
Yeah.
Did you finish your errands, Jack? And it's like, that's Prince Jack to you.
Yeah, we find out Jack is the one who won the raffle.
Jack won the Prince Charming Lands lottery. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He won nothing.
Yeah.
He even said it's like all these years have been like just fucking around. All I had to do was win a lottery. So.
Yeah. Then everybody starts showing up, and Bigby kind of revels in this moment because he finally gets to do what's called the parlor scene, which is, in every Agatha Christie book, there's a scene where where the detective gathers everybody up in the parlor and reveals.
He even
everything.
mentions he didn't think he'd ever get one, and this is probably the only one he's going to get.
Anybody who's in any kind of like law enforcement or anything is like, this is what they dream about,
of having a parlor scene.
And then didn't a character say like, we don't even have a parlor?
Yeah.
This isn't a parlor.
They were like, no. Somebody was like, should we go to the parlor? He was like, no, fucker. It's not about the
for creatures that drown in metaphor. They are fucking literal at this point.
It's like it's where it doesn't matter. It's just what happens. Jesus.
Do you think this is why the blue fairy took Pinocchio's wish seriously?
That might be something. That might be an underlying thing.
I love this whole. I love the whole book, but I really love this section where he's explaining things because he's not using one board with yarn on it. He's using 3.
Yeah.
He goes into so many details at some point where King Cole's like, all right, could you please?
So
he's like, no, keep following along.
So go ahead, Brady.
While he's doing this, Jack is moving towards a specific person.
Mm-hmm.
This woman in a pink dress with flowers around her shoulder,
Black hair. Long black hair.
And then Bigby walks up to her and says, "Oh, I found the killer. It's Rose Red." And he pulls off the wig, and it's Rose Red, and
everybody's like, "What the?"
Everybody's
fuck?
like, "What the fuck?"
I looked at the character when they first pulled her out, and I'm like, I don't remember seeing her at any point in the story.
I was trying to find it in the gala, with the dance.
Yeah, and everybody's like, "Oh shit, what the fuck?"
And he's like, "Hold on, I'm only halfway done explaining what happened."
I demand an explanation.
Like, well, you'll have one next issue.
I've been waiting to take you to my third chalkboard of
and
red
Bigby's
yarn.
like, basically, wait till the next issue, but we don't have to wait till the next issue.
Yeah.
Yes, because of trade paperbacks.
Bigby explains the parlor scene again because he's really just reveling.
He's
in this.
reveling in it.
And then we get to talking about how he figured it out. So his first clue was that
we didn't mention this earlier at the beginning, but he found the latch of the lock in the drawer.
That's part.
That was one.
That's part 4. Hang on.
That was one thing. So his first clue was that when Jack arrives into his office,
right,
completely out of breath, and he's like, Jack's in pretty good shape.
The apartment isn't that far from here.
The apartment isn't that far, and I know that he took a cab. So running up to
from the cab to his office wouldn't have winded him.
And he comes in like, oh my god, and he's like, and then Rose Red is like, I told you to be subtle, dickhead. Mm-hmm. And then he talks about all the stuff that he found in the apartment. He found out to him oh, this is obviously a bullshit crime scene.
Right, immediately.
There's too much blood everywhere. Everything is laid just so. There is a lamp that is laid to the side, but it's not broken.
Her favorite ashtray,
an ashtray that is ceramic, is just set
suddenly
down.
upside down.
Yeah.
Jack said that he had entered the room, but surprisingly left.
There's no
footprints. Yeah, there's no footprints.
That's the part that I love about that too, because that's such because of the medium particularly, you have this picture in front of you,
right,
and you can look at it and see there's no footprints, so you can glean that by yourself,
right.
And I want to finish this out before I go back to that stuff, and why I think this whole book is a better detective series than the entirety of BBC Sherlock. We'll get there. Continue, Brady.
The reel-to-reel part also got to me. The stereo system.
Oh yeah, he looks the stereo system. Even though it's in the middle of all this stuff, there's blood all around it, but there's no blood on it.
And there's no blood on her favorite CDs.
Yeah, the CD rack. For Ethan and all the younger kids, we used to listen to music through CDs, and we used to put them on a rack. We didn't have it all just on our phone.
And normally we would have our favorite CDs at the top of the rack.
Yeah, so with her rack, there's a front row and a back row, and all the CDs that are strewn all around with blood all on them are from the back row.
None
so
from the front.
So her favorite CDs are immaculate.
Yeah.
He points out that the toaster was like smashed up and all bloody.
Piece of shit toaster.
But it was like a secondhand toaster. Like it was a
Right.
piece of shit. Like everything that's broken is all the
Garbage.
The garbage.
Yeah.
Yet there's no blood from the kitchen.
Yeah, there's no blood,
There's
in, the
no
kitchen,
blood in the kitchen.
But,
So how did how did
somebody got the toaster and fucked it up. Yeah, then Snow, she's losing her shit because she's asking him like, why didn't you tell me this? And he was like, well, until the very last second, I
wasn't sure if she was still alive or not.
I wasn't sure if she was still alive or not, and I did not know. Like, I knew that much blood she couldn't have lost and still be alive.
Up to that point, he knew that it was staged, and that either Rose was dead or Jack had done something to her.
But it was because Snow mentioned something about the food being locked up by the wait staff at the event.
Yeah,
led him
he
to
was like,
believe.
I found the padlock, but I couldn't put two and two together.
Right.
And then I remembered, Rose Red has a whole lot of parties. So she had to. So the whole reason that she did that was because they locked up the freezer because they didn't want
They didn't want anyone snooping.
So and then they go back. Yeah, but there was so much blood, and it was her blood that this. Well, here's what she did. You can give up to a pint of blood a week, and
Or
not
every couple of weeks,
Every
I
couple
think.
of weeks,
Yeah.
and not give not have any
Effects.
every 6 weeks is what they said.
Yeah.
We're gonna get an email or something. So what they did was every 6 weeks she gave a pint of blood.
She stockpiled her blood
and stockpiled the blood
in the freezer.
But
And
they had to
padlocked
but they
the
had to
freezer.
padlock it because they still had parties because they were still party people. And they didn't want somebody accidentally opening this up and go, holy shit, why do you have all this blood?
Right.
So they padlocked it. So yeah, she slowly put her blood in these packs.
Jack helped her.
And Jack helped her.
Yeah.
And then they get to, okay, well, we know what happened. Why? And this is why. So we find out, that startup, Jack lost all of his fucking money because he's stupid with money, and he talks Rose Red into, hey, how about you go
hit up Bluebeard?
He was going to do this, and he needed some capital to start it up. So they fake break up, and then on Remembrance Day, she basically tricks Bluebeard into being engaged and giving them this money up front because Jack's like, yeah, don't worry, I'll make tons of money, and then
we can pay him back.
We can pay him back,
Yeah.
and you can just cancel the engagement,
Right.
and everything's good.
Right.
And then I'll be making money from the .com thing.
Right.
Well, because Jack is an idiot, everything goes bust.
Right.
And then
They had to figure a way of making sure Rose didn't marry Bluebeard.
yeah.
While
They-
also Bluebeard not figuring out about her and Jack.
Yeah,
Right.
they wanted to cancel the marriage, but they didn't want Bluebeard hunting them down. So
Right.
hey, how about she just disappears and she might be dead?
Yeah, that worked out so well for him.
Yeah. So now, Bluebeard is here and he's like, "Oh, I'm an injured party. I demand the money back
Compensation, and we're getting married.
the money
still.
back from her, and I demand to be married, or I get to kill Jack."
And then Prince Charming chirps is like, hey, what about the money from the land that I just
Yeah,
sold?
I need money too. So
Oh yeah, it comes out that Jack won the lottery.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
but he doesn't have the money to.
But right, exactly.
he
But
bought one ticket.
He bought one ticket.
So yeah, Snow White's just like, fuck all of you. We'll deal with this in the.
We'll figure this out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Everybody go home.
Yeah,
And they figure it out.
yeah. They figure it out.
The next day.
And Bixby's like, oh, they're all gonna hate you.
Yeah, and she's like, well, I mean,
This is like, in my opinion, in comics, one of the perfect examples of boss bitch.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Snow White
She
takes care of
dropped
this whole
the
Snow
hammer.
White. Yeah. So
There's
she.
There's also Colin passed out in her garden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Snow White meets with Prince Charming. She gives him $30,000 of like the millions that they got because she was like, "Hey, yeah, the expenses."
Yeah, this portion is to hold the raffle. This portion is for the investigation.
He's
Yeah.
like, "Where's the rest of it?" She's like, "Well, expenses."
Yeah,
taxes and fees,
You should
baby.
when you signed the contract,
You
you said
didn't read it.
reasonable expenses, and I am the sole arbitrator of reasonable expenses.
Yeah.
You fool.
You fool.
And
boy, he was
And
happy.
he was like, "Well, what the fuck am I going to do with $30,000?" And it was like, "Well, I have a feeling that Jack's gonna be very willing to sell you that back for very cheap. So
Right.
So maybe you can get it back from him."
Just
Which
hit
is
up
another
Jack.
reason why the order of this was so important. He
Yeah.
had to
Right.
go to him for, and then to Bluebeard, and then to Jack
Yeah.
Rose.
And then they go to Bluebeard, and
Oh,
Bluebeard
it's so good.
they
It's so good.
they tell Bluebeard, "Yeah, here's your money. The contract's off." He's like, "What? Wait, what the fuck?"
He's like, yeah, they give him the money, and he's like, I'm still owed a marriage, and then Bigsby,
No, no, it's all
yeah,
snow.
Is it
Snow
snow?
was like,
Snow.
"No, this Big B's there, but like,
right.
they don't even." No, I'm wrong. They don't even go to Bluebeard. Bluebeard comes to them. So
Oh
that's a
yeah,
big
okay,
thing.
gotcha.
Like, what about the marriage? Oh, that's off.
Yeah, that's off.
What do you
because-
mean? Ironclad contract.
Yeah, remember your contract said that you had to keep it secret until the next Remembrance Day. You told us like 3 days before that.
But I was being accused of murder.
I thought she- and I thought she was dead.
I thought
I
she
thought
was
she was
dead.
dead.
Well,
No,
Too bad, motherfucker.
She's not dead. Fuck
Contract
you.
null and void.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
But
So-
he did get his money back.
He did get his money back.
So yeah, but they were basically like, if you take back you cannot take the money, or if you don't take the money, then we're going to reinstate the charges of attempted murder.
Yeah.
And in Fabletown, that's death.
Right, because of what he tried to do to Jack earlier.
Choppy, so sloppy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Snick, motherfucker.
So then they meet in the park with Jack and Rose.
Rose, yeah.
They tell them that they have a fine of $10,000 apiece and 200 community hours service, and they're like, "Oh, we don't have that kind of money." And they're like, "Well, I think
There might be someone that
You might be able to
sell.
sell that that title back to Prince Charming.
yeah." And then they're like, "Oh, well, we don't end up with anything." And he's like, "Well, you're alive."
Yeah.
Your
yeah.
freedom for right
Yeah.
now.
So yeah. Then we go. The very final scene is Snow and Bigby on top of the woodlands.
Why did you need me to dance with
Yeah,
you?
and she's like, "That the only thing that I don't understand is why did you need me to dance?" And Bigby was like, "Well,
He just turns into a puppy dog.
Wanted you for my date.
yeah, I was afraid to ask you for a date." And she laughs it off.
At
And
first.
calls him a piece of shit. And calls him
Which
pathetic.
she laughs it off and like, "What? You didn't have enough courage to ask me?" And then goes, "We're only professionals."
Yeah, and then she says like, "Yeah, we're only professional." Like she goes, "That's pathetic." And he's like, "Well, I was hoping for something more along the lines of oddly disarmingly charming, but that didn't work."
And she went, "Nope.
No,
And she was like, "No,
we are colleagues.
He's
We
like,
were colleagues
"Fine."
only."
Yeah.
She's like, "Seriously, we're colleagues."
Yeah, I get you. I get
Okay,
you.
I get you. I
Yeah,
get you.
yeah.
Jesus. So yeah, and that's the
That's
end.
volume
of the
one.
first
And then we have
volume.
a little preview of Animal Farm, which I didn't read because I have Animal Farm
There's
that
a
I
I
read.
didn't read
preview.
it.
There's
Yeah.
a preview for Animal Farm.
I didn't
There
read the
is-
short story in the back either. I
There's a
didn't have
short
time.
story.
That actual short story, I believe, is connected to the actual Fables novel that him
Gotcha.
eventually did.
Yeah, it was mentioned in the top, I think.
Some of this stuff.
I did read the other little short comic thing in the back that was like the sort of like precursor, like
Yeah.
that little like 4 or 5 pages thing.
Yeah, this part there's some stuff that happens later on, which is a really good volume. Where they
Price
talk
of a
about
happy
some,
ending.
where
Is
they
that
talk
what-
about
yeah.
some future stuff,
Right.
Which probably isn't going to make sense to anybody who reads. You don't have to read any
Right,
of this.
right,
They
right.
also there was a side thing called Fairest, which was focused on some of the princesses,
Mm-hmm.
but it takes place like in between parts of the story later on.
Gotcha.
One of them, with the one with Rapunzel, is like a complete side story that you really don't even need to. You can read that one, but the first volume takes place in the aftermath of like a very pivotal thing, and so does most of the other ones. But yeah, so that's the end of Fables, the volume 1, Legends in Exile. This is a very self-contained story. I think you can read this one all on your own, and if you don't want to read anything else, this is a good one to read though. Like I said, when you do go, if you continue on you'll notice a change in art style, and this is what the people start looking like throughout the entire thing. They're going to look a little bit different than here, and personalities are going to like shift a little bit as well as it keeps going. So yeah, that's the first volume of Fables. We're not going to do the second one, but I hope that everybody's going to read the second one.
I'm going to.
I will say this.
Oh, yeah.
Again, one of the things about this and then the subsequent volumes, Willingham was also taking modern, I want to say tropes, modern story structure and applying it to these characters. This first volume is your police procedural Sherlock Holmes, Agatha Christie kind of detective novel. The second volume, Animal Farm, I don't think I need to explain to you what that is. If not,
if you know what the book Animal Farm is about.
Is that Orwellian?
Yeah, it has Orwellian concepts in it. It just takes it just in a little bit different direction.
Yeah.
And throughout the rest of Fables, you're going to see that as well.
Yeah, Animal Farm takes place mostly on the farm, so you get to see that. You didn't see that in this first one.
You saw a little bit of
the
it.
Tiniest little bit.
Whenever they were talking about people celebrating the remembrance.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring up two things. I had some major points on it, but I'm going to condense them down because Lord knows, God bless you passengers for staying with us as long as you have.
Yeah.
First thing, I mentioned the Sherlock thing earlier. The crux, and also let me say this too. This comes, I've always wondered why Sherlock didn't work with me.
The BBC series.
The BBC series. And Ethan, I know you and I have talked about it and you hated the way it went down. But
I didn't like the ending.
From the immediate,
I stopped watching it after like the third
from the beginning
season.
From the beginning
I
of it.
stopped watching after like episode 6.
From the beginning of it, it just didn't settle with me, and I could never figure out why. And then one of my favorite creators on YouTube, and we've mentioned this before on the podcast, but I want to crystallize it here because I think this was an example of a fantastic detective story. As far as like, just one shot, boom, be done with it. H. Bomber Guy did his deconstruction of why BBC Sherlock was bad. You have this character who is supposedly this great detective. And even here, I think it works better here because he keeps putting off, no, I'm not that great detective. And then he's actually a superlative detective in how he figures everything out. But for it to work, you have to be presented with everything that the characters are also presented with. Because your interest is also solving it alongside Sherlock Holmes or Agatha or Hercule Poirot or any of these other great characters in fiction. So you have to be presented the information.
Right.
If you're not presented that information, then they could literally just make up fuck all anything and eureka, I've solved the fucking problem.
They did.
Which in Sherlock happened all the time.
Yeah.
You never see him be the detective. You always find out after the fact, after he's done all of the work off screen.
He's already figured it out.
And now here you go. Here's the presentation.
Yeah.
This was, in that regard, the execution on this is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I love this for the detective work and all things on that. Second major thing I want to bring up, and I will cut this one way, way shorter. I want to talk about the DC imprint Vertigo.
Yeah.
I will say, we're definitely going to talk about Vertigo, but we did go over quite a lot of Vertigo episode 34, season 1 on our non-superhero comic books.
I get that. We did. I want to specifically point out Vertigo here because this is a perfect example of what I consider the Vertigo style of story. You have offbeat stories using classic structure and flipping it on its head or presenting it in ways that have characters that you would never see in those kind of stories presented in those stories. The Big Bad Wolf is a detective. Snow White is Boss Babe. Like, there's so much stuff about this that doesn't make sense. However, through the execution of it, it is done absolutely perfectly.
And even then, like characters absolutely change throughout this.
Yes.
And like, he's not afraid to like murder people. Like,
spoilers for volume 2.
Well, shit. Later, even then, like later on, like.
Oh no, later on, yeah. Which again, that's
he
something.
Fucking kills children like pretty badly. Like,
yeah, it gets brutal.
Yeah, it's brutal.
I point out this is a perfect example. Other perfect examples in the Vertigo line. We mentioned earlier about mature, and I think that is a perfect word for this. These are not adult comics because adult comics have the connotation of sleaze, prurient interest, things like that. there are titillating moments within these stories, not just in Fables, but the other ones I'm going to mention here.
Right,
but
right.
It's a perfect example of mature concepts presented maturely to people who are ready to. This is for me late stage young adult creative stories. Like once you've gotten past your Harry Potters, your Hunger Games, and things like that, this is like right as you're becoming an adult. This is the perfect time. You're like your 17 to 20-year-old,
like an in between
Okay, yeah.
stage.
I think
kind of
these
thing.
are perfect stories. So
I think he does a good job of being mature without being like
overly
super edgy.
Like,
Yes.
overly.
absolutely.
Because fuck said, but it's only said like a handful of times.
and like they're
And
not
it's
like they usually
appropriate.
don't show like outright nudity, but there is like violence, there is cussing, there is sexy
More
sexy
adult-
babes and
more
more
it's
adult
sexy,
content.
but it's not overly.
but it's not like eye rolling. Like
Right.
like read the comic that Wanted is based off of, which has nothing
No.
to do with it, and it is so fucking eye rolling.
If you like Vertigo, if you read enough Vertigo and you like Vertigo, you'll love this. Like
yeah,
I love Mark Millar's work when someone else is interpreting it.
yeah.
It just Jesus God Almighty.
Yeah, he's yeah. It does a lot of the things that some of those more mature storytellers will, comic book writers will do without being so far
right.
that it's like, oh man, I feel like I should be 14 reading
Right,
this.
not in the same way, but I really did at parts felt like I was reading John Constantine when he's trying to figure out a mystery.
Yeah.
like there were some parts of that I felt like I was reading a Vertigo comic, in a way.
You mentioned Constantine, so again, back to the Vertigo imprint.
Yeah,
A lot of it started in the British comic scene because I mean, you look at some of the people: Alan Moore, Warren Ellis, Grant Morrison, Garth Ennis, these fantastic British writers that like you can almost link it back all the way to 1986 when we have the Watchmen. I will celebrate this one, but you have the Dark Knight Returns, the original, the 1986 comic, where you had again, and to me, where mature comics of the newest age kind of come about.
Right.
V for Vendetta was actually a Vertigo comic.
Was a very,
Yeah.
1993 is when Vertigo actually like forms. If you like what we described here,
Ethan,
today,
I will say that comic is very different from this.
oh yeah,
yes.
Very
Wholly different.
Alan Moore absolutely hates the interpretation done by the Wachowskis.
Yeah.
To the point where it's like they've changed whole themes here. This is not what I was talking
But
about.
also Alan Moore hates every comic book interpretation that's ever been of his work. So there is that.
Some are justified. League of Extraordinary
Oh, yeah,
Gentlemen.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
But again, if you like what we described here today, I absolutely recommend picking up Fables. It is top notch. If you
I
like
think this one's good. Like I knew the because I'd read like the best comic twists, and this was one of them. I knew the ending. I didn't know exactly how, but I knew the ending. Like who did it and everything like that
You knew
before I
the
read
whodunit.
this. But the characters are like very well done, and even like and just leading into like the other volumes of Fable are so good. Like I said, the Great Fable crossover I think is volume 17. You can skip that one, absolutely. It's okay, but it's not necessary. The other one, because it doesn't even have anything to do with the main story. And as they get going, like they get going more into like a main story. Like an overarching, but not necessarily, but it is still kind of episodic.
And I'll also like say again, like if you like it's different stories, of course, and different people involved. But if you like Sandman, if you like John Constantine Hellblazer, if you like Saint Sinner, any of the Vertigo stuff, you'll probably more than likely like this because I like all of those and I love this. Fables was great.
And
Yeah.
again, if you like this and you want stuff in other spots from the Vertigo line,
Right.
I want to landmark a few of these. Brian Azzarello's 100 Bullets, which asks the questions: if somebody handed you a case that contained an untraceable gun and 100 untraceable bullets, what would you do? Transmetropolitan. If you like cyberpunk, if you like transhuman, if like cyberpunk edge runners appeal to you, Transmetropolitan I believe will appeal to you as well. Garth Ennis's Preacher.
Preacher is so good.
Enough fucking said on there. We mentioned already Alan Moore's V for Vendetta. There is so much in the Vertigo line that is mature.
The Sandman.
The Sandman was pulled in.
I would
was
get
pulled in.
I would get in trouble if I
Yeah.
didn't
Well,
mention that.
the imprint didn't exist when he first wrote it, and then once
it's now in the
it's now
but
pulled into it. Yeah.
To be honest, like Vertigo actually doesn't exist anymore. It's
Well,
DC
yeah,
Black
that's
Label,
the sad
Yeah.
thing.
which is R.I.P.
Yeah.
Well, and to do not a good mature look at the Black Label. I like. I think it was.
Yeah, you want to see
Batman White Knight, right?
I don't. Yeah, I think it became Black Label.
Yeah.
They because like All Star Superman is now under DC Black
DC
Label.
Black Label?
They pulled some stuff in, but it was before because Vertigo, they didn't kill Vertigo, but like a couple of years ago. And White Knight, the original White Knight, is like older than that. But hey, you want to see the Batman's dick? Read Batman Damned.
Pass.
Yeah.
Pass.
Now, if you want something good, Warren Ellis and Grant Morrison's work on The Authority. The reason why you're getting an Authority movie here sometime in the DCU is because of the work they did while that was under the Vertigo label. But 1993 to I believe 2020, Vertigo was the place to go for in my opinion, there are other locations, but for non-superhero mature comics,
Right.
nothing beats the Vertigo label.
Oh, it's
Just
so
nothing.
good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. Vertigo is just
We,
look
we
it up.
waxed poetic on it on episode 34 of season 1. Like if you want to hear us talk more about how much we fucking gush over Vertigo, listen to that episode, and you'll be happy you did.
I very much enjoyed this book.
Oh, so good.
Keep. Yeah, I if you read this and enjoy it, just keep reading because it's very, very good. I think I cannot speak for the new stuff. I don't know. I don't particularly want to read it because
Right.
Willingham is kind of a piece of shit. And I try to separate the art from the artist while I'm reading it because I do love this so much. But I'm probably not ever going to read the new stuff, to be honest, because
Right.
I think it ended perfectly.
Yeah,
to me.
if it ends at a point, I can understand not wanting to pick up any new stuff.
I think
after
it's
that.
issue 101 was the last one, if I'm not mistaken. It was some like clear line.
I want to say it said something like 1001 or something like that.
There's like a lot of side things too. There was the Ferris, there was Jack of the Fables. There's a book called 1001 Nights of Snowfall. There was A Wolf in the Heartlands, which is a side story with Bigby, where you find out like he's responsible for basically making werewolves a thing.
I'm fine with that.
You'll be fine with
There's
it
a cool
until they
thing you
start
find
tearing
out about
your
Bigby
throat.
later, where like every time there was a major war in the United States, he went off and fought in the war somehow, whether like on the sidelines or like in World War II, he's like a secret agent, basically. Which is
very
pretty funny.
Wolverine-y, what you find
Yeah.
out about Wolverine and later. Or later.
But yeah, there's a lot of like side things. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. There's some weird retcons that I don't necessarily love. But the main story is like really good and really interesting. And he takes things in a lot of cool ways with the characters, like characters that you think, oh, I hate these characters. I don't want to see these on the screen. And they like kind of redeem themselves. Characters that you thought, oh, this is a useless piece of shit character. And they turn out to do some really fucking cool things. But yeah. So yeah, that's Fables. If anything we talked about sounds interesting, please check it out. It's a very good series. I can only speak up to the first ending. That's phenomenal. There's only really like one volume that's garbage. Everything else is like really good, and like especially like when they get to the to kind of a middle section. I can't remember what the volumes are called, but they're really, really fucking good. So yeah.
All right.
That's all I got.
All right.
Let's say the promo's like really fast because it's like 15 minutes after midnight.
Okay, pick
Yeah.
a person and speed run it.
Who first?
Whiskey and Wrestling is hosted by Jason Holder and Michael Hill. They talk about wrestling, AEW and WWE, and sometimes they talk about whiskey. No, they talk about whiskey every time. Check them out on all the platforms, whiskeyandwrestling.com.
Silence Cell Phones, Jared Hubbard, Kevin Shelton, movies to watch, movies to not watch, TV shows possibly, maybe, live shows every Wednesday or when they feel like it. Check them out.
They're on
Silence Cell
the
Phone.
platforms.
All the platforms.
Our friend Jody Kite. If you've never heard of him, check him out. He does a show called Fearology where he talks about horror movies and different things like that. You might remember that from one of our previous episodes where we actually did a Fearology thing on this.
Quite literally last
week.
It was a crossover. It was last week. Shit. Time. It's a bitch. Try them out wherever podcasts are
Sold.
listened to. Yeah.
The completed podcast. You like Magic? Yes. Competitive Magic? Yes. Outback Steakhouse? No. Check them out. All the, to my knowledge, only one platform, but possibly all the platforms.
Cameron Spanier, God, Emperor of Gaming, McNarp Gaming in Goshen, Mississippi. Do you like puzzles and shit? We got it over there. Do you like games? We got that over there. Do you like tables? They have tables to sit down at. It's very fucking great. ZYX, WVUT, SRQPO, and MLK.
Do you like Lorcana? Fuck you, because they ain't getting it.
There you go. McNarp Gaming, Goshen, Mississippi.
Cabin Gallo, aka Roto Rooster, hosts the show on Twitch, and sometimes they not a show, an actual web series where they play the unofficial Pokédex, Pokeball,
Pokeroll. The unofficial Pokemon RPG.
Yeah, just what Jay said. Check him out. He's on Twitch, and sometimes they do YouTube. I don't know.
Put the VODs on YouTube.
Also, what's the other show on Twitch?
What's the other show? April Dugan from April Apes Place. She plays games. She plays the horror games. She plays the Legend of Zelda.
Gamer.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
Are we forgetting anyone else?
Are we forgetting anyone?
I don't think
Do we
so.
I already said the ones that I know.
Yeah, no,
so
he knocked
like,
that one out, so it was good.
Yeah, I think that's
I
it.
realize we have a lot more friends than we thought we did.
We have a lot more shows we
That's a
plug.
good thing. I'd like to have more friends than
That
I
is
think
for
I
sure.
do. That's
Yeah.
what's very good. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, next time we're going to have a thoughtful discussion on the concept and the execution of one of my favorite types of board gaming. That's
Social
going to be social
deductions.
deduction games.
Can you trust the person you're sitting beside?
probably not.
Can you be
You should've-
Sherlock Holmes?
I wish you'd known he was going to say that and just throw something at him. That would have been great. But
You shut your whore mouth.
oh, that was a great one.
I like
If you
it.
want that
Yeah.
explained,
Tune in next
week.
time.
Next time on Travelers on the Omnibus.
You shut your whore mouth.
I really want to tell that story, but yeah, we got to wait. Anyway, so for James McCarthy,
Ethan Skinner.
Jody Kite.
Brady Davis.
thanks for stopping by and enjoying the ride, guys. Bye-bye.